me off. I don't like this destination. I like a transfer to the express line. I gotta get off. Electric slide into the devil doors of life. Things are changing and it ain't the way I like. On the replay, wish I could get a replay. Don't mean to hold ya, but I wanna do over. Gas up the ship, shoot me a text and let me know when it is time. I wanna get off, I wanna get off. 1 star, would not recommend that we go far from here. I wanna get off, I wanna get off.
A music podcast for the culture. Wow, wow, thoughts.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Wild Wild Thoughts. We got my man Mars Blackman joining us today. We got Q Belafonte on with us. We got a lot to talk about, but I want to dip into some fun shit a little bit before we get into the super deep shit. You know what I mean? I've been listening to like a lot of live concerts lately. I kind of fell into the rabbit hole of just like watching live YouTube videos of different concerts and different artists and stuff. And I know Quincy is like really into music in a way that, you know, most regular consumers aren't. And of course, Mars, I know your bag when it comes to music. So my first question is, to start the evening, what artist alive, what artist that's alive has the biggest touring bag in your opinion?
I can tell you who will be.
Okay, who will be?
Kendrick.
You think so? Okay. What about you, Quincy? Who do you think?
You said tour bag?
Yeah, like the biggest touring bag.
Alive?
Yeah.
I think the easy answer is, I would say Beyonce.
Ooh, I didn't expect that answer. Okay.
I'll agree with that. I'll also put Taylor in there.
So for me, the two artists who I feel like got the biggest tour bag. Well, you know what? Let me rephrase it, because I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about who has the biggest bag as far as like doing the show and they could just keep going, have hits and hits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Let me rephrase that. The biggest tour bag, like who can go into their bag and pull out the most shit? What artist?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Because tour bag, that's Taylor and B. Period. like the actual bag is Taylor and B. But I'm talking about who has the bag that if you go to their show, you like. Who you got, Mars?
Bruno Mars.
Hell no. Ain't no way.
Bruno Mars and that Anderson Park combination?
They got a bigger bag than Charlie Wilson and Stevie?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You think they got a bigger bag than Charlie Wilson and Stevie?
Oh wait, you want me to incorporate even the old school?
Alive.
Yeah, he's did alive.
Okay. Take okay. Damn.
Well, you know what? I mean, shit. Charlie.
I think Stevie got the deepest bag only just because he's written for everybody.
But Babyface.
Shit. Okay. Babyface bag is crazy.
He did 45 minutes of songs that wasn't even that he had wrote for people.
Ooh, Face got a crazy bag. You right. I didn't think about that. Face got that might be the one. As far as like, and he's a good touring artist, like, because it's not just that he can just pull out a bunch of songs. Like Babyface surprised me because I saw him with New Edition, and you know it's hard to do a show with New Edition.
We was at that same concert.
Same concert, and he entertained, bro. He actually really entertained and did a great show. So
Babyface, Teddy wasn't. I saw Teddy.
Teddy had a nice bag. Teddy has a nice bag.
Yeah, he brought out Kumo D. He brought out Big Bud from Today. Teddy had a nice, you know, he did Remember the Time, My Prerogative. He brought out Guy and Blackstreet. Yeah.
You know why I feel it's unfair though? Because like when I talk about people like Stevie and Babyface, especially Stevie, like Stevie can literally do a concert of like his whole albums.
Yeah.
Stevie could lay out like, I'm just gonna do Intervisions tonight, and you would not be mad at that.
Yeah. See,
You know what I mean?
that's the thing about that era, man, is that like they got iconic albums to where like they could just perform an album.
Like Stevie could like pick 2 albums from his 72 to 82 era. He could pick 2 albums out of that era and be like, I'm just doing these 2 albums tonight, and nobody really would be mad.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a heavy bag to be able to go into. And I think Babyface got that too, right? Like Face can probably do 2 Face albums. And of course, Who Shall Not Be Named, R. Kelly probably could do that as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's alive. I mean,
he's alive. Well, but you know who else got a deep
if R. Kelly did a TP2 concert in his heyday, I mean,
yeah, if he just did 12 play or 12 play 2 in a concert, like all the way through, I think Usher got that kind of bag though. I think Usher got that kind of bag. Usher could do
a Confessions concert.
If Usher just did Confessions all the way through, I don't think nobody would be mad.
What about Diddy?
Yeah, well, we saw that.
We saw that. That's the deep bag. But I think that's different because Diddy get to cheat.
Yeah, he got a cheat sheet.
Because he got to work with so many other artists, so you have to look at Bad Boy. But if it was just Diddy as an artist, no, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, because that's kind of like if you say like Death Row, that's different.
Yeah,
that's a different bag.
Like Babyface, literally, he did songs for the Whispers. He did Midnight Star, Slow Jam. He wrote for them. He did the Deals. He did End of the Road. He performed. He did 45 minutes of shit that he just did for the other people. At least 45 minutes.
And all hits.
All hits.
All mega hits.
Drew Hill. Yeah, he did he was like I'm gonna just take y'all through a few songs. Nigga said a few songs and perform like a whole 45 minutes to hours, just songs that he did for other people.
Babyface might be the consensus answer. Just like I said, Babyface, Stevie, Charlie. Because again, Charlie could do 2 Gap Band albums. Honestly,
yeah, he could do Gap Band shit.
He could do 2 like whole Gap Band. And I don't think is there any artist today, like I said, besides Usher, which Usher is now an old school artist if you really think about it. Because My Way, no, that came out like 25 years ago.
Yeah, look at it that way.
Yeah, like when Fly said, a kid said, my grandma used to sing Waterfalls to me when I was a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, is there any artists around today that you think will be able to be like, I'm gonna pull out a whole album? Beyonce could, but she's even like 20 years in the game, so you can't really count her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's an artist today.
I think Kendrick could. I think Kendrick could do like the Butterfly album. He could do a Kid album. He could do a good Kid album all the way through.
Yeah, that's about it, man.
That's about it. But even his bag ain't as deep as somebody like Stevie Wonder or Babyface. You know what I mean? When you talk about in terms of like literally, like Quincy said, think about how crazy that is. The Babyface could do almost a whole hour set in his show of songs that's not his, and you're not mad. You're not like, why is he singing this? You're like, oh, damn, that's the jam. That's the jam. That's the jam. You know what I'm saying? And then he doesn't even go into the Solar Records era where he was doing the Whispers and Alexander O'Neal. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like a whole era that he can't even get to in his show. And like I said, Stevie Wonder, I'm sure he probably could do a different set every single night on tour. Like he could probably every city, Stevie could probably do a different set.
A different set, yeah.
And I don't think a lot of artists have that kind of bag.
No, in a sense, your question is a little unfair though, because what you're, and this is the hater in me coming out. You have quote unquote an era of real musicians that knew how to perform, and you have an era of musicians that are more or less synthesized.
Well, it's not unfair. It's just the fact of the matter, really. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
mean, I
Because
say
like you
this.
said, Beyonce is from kind of the newer generation, but
Yeah,
she's still putting on like an old school show.
but she's old school though. Like even like the whole Destiny Child, like their whole thing was geared around mimicking the Supremes and Diana Ross and all that stuff.
I think Bruno bag is deep, but you would have to include, like you said, Mars. You have to include Bruno along with
Right,
uh,
Anderson Park
Anderson
and
for
right.
it to be that for him, because he got to be able to do the what's that, the Silk Sonic. He got to be able to do that as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have Bruno Mars, you give him 30 minutes, yes, but like 90 minutes.
What about Chris Brown?
Oh, Chris got a bag.
Yes.
Chris got a bag because Chris been in the
Yeah.
game almost 20 years now too. Like Chris got a bag.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good call out. Chris probably got a decent bag, especially for his age,
Mm-hmm.
right? For his age, like Chris got a decent bag. It's not
But-
many. That's kind of sad that not many artists got that.
But I have to get like she doesn't have a deep bag, but she put on a damn great show.
Chill Scott.
Fantasia.
Oh yeah,
Look, man, I can't tell you. I probably know one Fantasia song, but bro, I really when I only probably know one or two songs, but I enjoy your entire set. You are a
I think she's cut from that cloth though. Like you said, I think she's cut from that old school cloth, kind of like what Mars was talking about with Beyonce. When you see her show don't feel like her show. Feel like she like 55 years old. You know what I mean? Like her show is like an adult, there's some grown shit show. And like you said, if you can enjoy somebody's show, to me, that's like the mark of somebody who's like super dope. Like you don't know none of their songs, you're not a big fan, but you see them and you become a fan just from watching them live.
Yeah.
Then you know what I'm saying? Then you really on to something. I think you're really on to something in that regard. Damn, that's a good one.
Mm.
So, but that does kind of go to show like it's not a lot of new artists who are kind of dipping into that area where you like. And is also that why they're not really a lot of sustainable artists?
Yeah, because they don't know how to, they don't understand music.
Yeah, man, it's sad, and I think that the elimination of groups have hurt people because you was able to be seasoned by coming in with a group, and then when you were ready to break out, you was ready to break out. If you look at a lot of our top performers from an era, most of them came out of groups.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Donna Ross, Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson, Beyonce. You know, I mean, they came out of groups, so they were still able to do their thing. We knew who they were going to become.
Yeah,
but they were still able to be seasoned until it was that moment and it was time. Then they went solo when it was time. Shit, like so. I just think because now we don't have groups, and
that's a great point.
And people are being put out there probably do better in a group. Let them get a little bit more seasoned. Yeah, and then sharpen up a little bit, and then be able to go solo. We'll probably get more better product.
More superstars actually, because you
More
think about most of the superstars outside of Rihanna, I think maybe like 90% of the superstars that we have came from a group. Going like you said, like all the people you named, including like Justin Timberlake.
Just group. Most people came from groups, and we don't have any groups anymore to really sharpen up people to the point where they're ready. You have your exceptions like Chris Brown, and like you said, Rihanna, but most of our superstars, they came out of groups.
Well, some of that you got to blame the labels too, because labels used to farm out, like they used to get artists and put them together and get them ready. You know what I mean? Like there was like a farming system to get groups and artists ready, where you go through choreography class, you go through workout class, then you go through media training, you go through vocal and then you're ready. Now they just pulling people off Instagram and like, you artists.
SoundClouds, like what are your impressions?
Here you
I mean-
go. I think that's another reason why it's hard to find sustainable artists, because they put these artists out and these artists end up having mental breakdowns because they haven't been prepared at all. They weren't taught, they weren't groomed to be like, this is what it's going to be like when people, and this is with the social media age where people can leave a comment that'll destroy your soul.
Man, tear your ass up.
And they not even getting prepared for that. You know what I'm saying?
Or they post a video of a part of your show that just was pure trash, and that goes viral because you missed a note or, you know, a step or whatever, and your whole concert is judged by that clip.
Mm-hmm. But you want to know what's interesting though, because I'm actually looking at tickets or whatnot.
Uh-huh.
There are a lot of old school artists that are flooding the market on touring.
Well, that goes to Quincy's point though, right? If you don't have new artists who are good and supplying that, there is going to be a void. And old school artists have just been smart enough to realize, hey, yo, nobody's doing shows like the way we do it. So people will come to see us over and over again. Look at this, Quincy. You'll see the same artist come back 3 or 4 times to LA, just packaged with different people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Genuine and Tyrese and da-da. Then it's gonna be Genuine and New Edition and BBD.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna, and they just keep hitting, like, because people are fiending for those kind of shows, man.
Dude, look, I've seen Charlie Wilson at about 10, and I didn't see Charlie Wilson whoop a lot of young artists' ass. I mean, there was a debate in July who had a better performance, Charlie or Usher at Essence.
Yeah.
Charlie shouldn't be. I mean, that's a mere fact that was a debate, and he's 70 years old.
Yeah.
And he's in a debate with Usher of who put on a better performance. Let you know where the game is. Like they still.
And it's a valid debate. And it's a valid debate.
It's a valid debate.
Yeah. And it's a valid debate.
And he's, you know, they get on these shows with these artists who, the old school artists, know how to put on shows, and like to the point, I think you remember this was old school versus old school, but I have no doubt that Anita Baker kicked Babyface off her tour because he was whooping our ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there was no other logical reason to kick Babyface off your tour. Everything, and we didn't get any answers. And when there was no clear answers, I was like, oh, he was whooping our ass.
Whooping her ass every night. And I've seen Babyface show and I've seen Anita show. Anita don't need to have an opener because the way her show is and the way her songs are. Anita needs to, or if you're gonna have somebody do like a Layla Hathaway, you can't put somebody as dynamic as Babyface before your show. Because her show is more like a jazz show. Then and again, it's a great show, but you go in the mind of like Anita was a contemporary jazz artist who had pop records, which hasn't been done before and hasn't been done since.
Okay, I seen Babyface open. I didn't see Babyface like he opened, but that was New Edition coming behind him.
That's exactly.
He opened, but that was Charlie Wilson coming behind him. If you're Anita Baker, you might not want to come behind Babyface.
No,
that wasn't a good book.
Face kick ass, man.
Yeah,
like
he kick
people
ass.
Don't know. He on the low and he kind of quiet and soft, so people don't be knowing. But when you see him on stage, Face know he kick ass. Like you could tell his stage confidence. Face know he kick ass.
Yeah. And that's. I mean, it's crazy to think that what was it? I'm trying to think of that concert. Was it R. Kelly? Was it R. Kelly New Edition in the Jacksons?
Yeah.
And it's like you had R. Kelly New Edition and then the Jacksons, and I'm talking about Marlon, Tito, and Jackie.
Yeah.
Come behind New Edition and R. Kelly. They got their ass whooped.
Yeah.
There's certain artists you got to know. You
got to understand your booking. You got to understand where you're supposed to be, man. And I think some artists don't understand that, like, you know how like when Tyrese was like, when we do TG3, I should headline the TG3 piece where we go solo. I'm like, you ain't got no Pony, nigga. I love Tyrese albums, but you ain't got not a nan record that's gonna compete with Pony and compete with Genuine performing Pony today, even today.
I saw 15 years ago when they first did the TGT idea before they actually came out with the album, and Tank was smart because Tank came before Genuine, and I mean, nigga, this 6-pack Genuine, this ain't Dad by Genuine,
Yeah,
and Genuine came on, and dog, people was walking out on Tyrese.
Oh, okay.
You can't sweet lady after Pony, man. And look, that's my jam. But you can't sweet lady after Pony.
I mean, but then Genuine had like, he had these big jeans, and he'd take a chick out the audience and put her in the jeans, and did in those jeans. It was crazy. He had the broom come out for the breaking the pop, dude. And then you come out sweet lady, dog. That shit was a wrap.
Dog.
That shit was a wrap.
Stephanie said Charlie Wilson gives one hell of a show at every age and stage of his life. Even when he got to sit down for the whole show, he's still killing most in the game. And she is not lying, because we saw him right after knee surgery, and he still was smashing. Also, with Babyface, he wrote and produced for so many genres of artists where his shows can never just be within only jazz artists. He would always be the top biller in the show like that. Exactly. Like, you can't, even if Babyface try to chill a little bit before the Anita Baker show, it's still gonna smash just because the way their shows are set up. You know what I mean? Like the way their shows are set up. And her audience and his audience are very close to the same audience, but their music is vastly and dramatically different, right? So her stuff is a lot more chill. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think what that be? I think, you know, I would hope that we could find a way, and I don't know, it might be too far gone. I will hope that we could find a way back to where you can get artists who will put out the kind of music that will have a touring bag where you can go tour 30 years later. I think one of the biggest drop balls in the history of touring was New Edition not going on tour immediately after that New Edition movie.
Oh yeah, big time. With the boys.
I kind of want to argue against you, Dame. I think that time and era is over. I think once, you know, the artists that we grew up watching that are touring now, once they leave, I think that will be it.
That's it?
Yeah, because labels are getting smaller.
Yeah.
You know, with internet and SoundCloud, anyone can put out music. Folks are now going to tech companies for impressions. So that seasoning and developing of touring, doing club dates, and then gradually.
Yeah, you do club dates, but just for people to let's explain it to the people who don't know. When you're a new artist back in the day, this is how it used to go. They groom you, like I said, they give you the media training, they give you the choreography, they give you the vocal training, they give you even stage presence training. They'll put you with somebody to teach you how to command the stage, how to walk across the stage. If you're a group, they teach you how too many of y'all can't be on this side of the stage at the same time. Like they do all that. And then they put you on what you call a small promo tour. And a small promo tour is a bunch of clubs where it's probably going to be 50 to 100 people. Right. And you do this small promo tour, 50, 100 people to kind of get you wet and get your feet wet. And if they see that you're doing well after your promo tour, they're going to put you on what's called more of like a local tour, where you're doing local cities, but the venues are a little bigger. You're moving up to like 500 people now. And once you can like rock 500 to 1,000 people, that's when they start to be like, oh, you know what? This artist has traction. This artist has wheels. They're gaining traction with their music and they're gaining traction live. Let's try to put them as an opener for a big act. And then they put you as an opener for a big act. And, you know, that's where you get to learn the ropes because you watch how the big act do it. You get to watch from the sideline, from the side of the stage every night. And you start to learn and you figure out, you lose your voice on tour. because that's your first time singing in a place that big, that many people, and then your voice has to come back, and that's what they call your tour voice. When your tour voice comes, your voice comes back stronger than ever, and then you are now ready to be a full-fledged artist and tour on your own. That's how it used to go.
Mhm.
That's not happening now.
Nope.
What's the biggest audience you've ever performed for?
Me? Damn, which one, Mars? Maybe
And the Nerds with Pharrell now.
tour. Yeah, 40, 50,000 with the on the Sprite tour with Nerd with Pharrell.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
And made them better. Remember that?
Wow.
Folks leaving their set to come see y'all.
That's crazy.
Dame, I also think that like artists are not committed to making good albums. They just want to have one good song.
And you know what? That's a great call out, Quincy, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because of the iTunes generation. Now, I will tell you, you think back before iTunes, Quincy, before LimeWire, if you will. Remember, we had to go pay $20 to buy a record, right? $15 to $20. If you want, even if you wanted one song, you're gonna go buy a CD. You got to buy the whole CD, especially if they didn't. A lot of them didn't make CD singles or cassette singles. So if there's a song that you like, you need to go buy a $20 album, and then you discover other songs that you like.
Yeah.
Right? Then you discover like, oh damn, I like number 1, I like number 4, blah blah blah. Right? Prime example, the 112 album, 3. You go buy a 112 3 album for the single, it's over now. But then you like, oh, Peaches and Cream hit, like before they came out as singles, right? You like Peaches and Cream hit, Dance With Me hit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like all that, right?
I remember I actually did that with Donnell Jones. That was the second album he came out with. That was a hit.
Yep.
I just wanted to hear Where I Want to Be, but then it was like, oh shit, there's some other bops on there.
That was a cold album too.
Yeah.
So then what happened was iTunes said, well, guess what? We're just gonna sell every song for 99 cents. So now you don't even need to buy the whole album. You can just buy one song for 99 cents. And Mars put an album out, Quincy put an album out, and Brian put an album out. So I'm gonna buy 2 from Mars' album. I'm gonna buy 1 from Quincy's album, and I'm gonna buy 3 from Brian's album. Instead of buying the album, now this is how I'm shopping for music. So what does that do? That changed it from a $20 business to a 99-cent business overnight.
Was ringtones involved in that too?
Hell yeah. Ringtones, let me tell you the craziest thing. Ringtones cost more than iTunes. Remember ringtones was like $2.99?
$1.29.
And niggas was like,
I never bought a ringtone a day in my life. I'd never
okay, well, people was buying ringtones, Brian, back then at a rate of $1.99 to $3.99, more than they could actually buy the song on iTunes.
That's how Soulja Boy blew up.
Yes, ringtones. So that's when the business changed, and that's when the business model changed. But that also, Quincy, changed the way people made music, because now they're like, I just need one song now. I don't need a whole album.
Because I see talented people, but I'm like, damn, with this talent, why is not Chloe Bailey? Yeah. As talented as she is, I think she should have better quality songs out.
Oh,
she can sing, she can play the damn piano, she can do like that. I don't know what they meant, and it's surprising because she under Beyonce. I think that with the amount of talent she has, she should have better material out there.
Well, you're speaking to the business aspect, because as talented as someone may be, it may not necessarily mean they have a business savvy manager that can put together or see the vision. They're more fixated on, oh, we're under X, we're good. And they're relying upon the association with that artist to make the little bread, as opposed to thinking big picture. That is the problem. Unfortunately, the vision is very minute.
And also, Mars, I agree with you saying, but to add to it, also, we don't really have no Quincy Joneses. We don't have an artist. We don't have producers who like, I'm finna take this artist and I'm gonna find your sound and do your whole album and give you your thing.
No, I agree with you. that goes
Because,
back.
and to that point, I don't think a lot of people know that Off the Wall was like Mike's fourth album.
Yeah,
A lot of people think that
Mike
was
had a
his
couple
first
bricks.
album. A lot of people think that was Mike, that Off the Wall was his first album and Thriller was his second album. But really, that was Off the Wall was like his fourth album and Thriller was like his fifth album.
Educate me. Oh, you talking about Jackson 5?
Yeah.
No.
No.
There was some Michael solo albums.
That was some Michael solo albums before Off the Wall.
Help me.
But those wasn't Quincy Jones albums.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm making.
Just like a lot of people think Control was Janet. Control was Janet's first album. Janet had a couple bricks.
Yep.
Bobby Brown, before he got with Teddy Riley, Bobby had a brick, king of the stage.
Bobby had a brick.
Yeah.
Bobby had a brick.
But he met Quincy Jones met Michael Jackson when they did The Wiz.
Yeah.
After they did The Wiz, then they did Off the Wall. Then they came back and did with Thriller. But Mike had some solo albums because I always thought Off the Wall was his first solo album. I did a little research. I saw some other songs. I was like, I never heard these songs. But when you hear those songs, you realize why you never heard them. And and this is Michael Jackson that we talking about.
Yeah.
You know, so
you equate that to now Quincy, right? Like Mike had to find Quincy. Janet had to find Jimmy and Terry. You know what I mean? Like
Bobby had to find Babyface and Teddy.
Right?
Had to find Dre.
Yeah.
Who had to find Dre?
Or even Kendrick had to find Dre.
What did he say? What was the name he said? Mars? The first one he said?
Kendrick had to find Dre. Because Kendrick had 2 albums
in the EP.
3 mixtapes.
Yeah.
Before Good
I'm the musically inclined person here. How do you, I don't know what you guys do because I went to high school with him. How do you guys know so much about me? I'm just sitting back being fascinated. What do you guys do in music? Like, what do you guys do?
Dame was an artist. I met Dame because I was working in marketing at Columbia.
Oh, okay. So you just exposure. Because I'm sitting here hearing all this knowledge. I'm like, how do they know all this? This is crazy.
Quincy is just a consumer who's just in the music. He a music head.
I love music.
Yeah, shit.
Stephanie said between Quincy Jones, Jimmy Jam, Terry, Clive Davis, those were the main producer executives. Don't forget Jimmy Iovine too, because people forget Jimmy was a producer too, who really invested in their artists. I'm sure they may be now.
Wait, you want to know something? No. I can't put Jimmy Iovine in there because Jimmy Iovine relied heavily on Dre.
No, bro.
Yes.
No, Mars.
Yes.
So see, this is where I got to trump you a little bit in my music.
Ooh, Trump.
No. We have this discussion.
No, you got to go pre-Dre. Jimmy Iovine produced.
You're talking about rock Jimmy Iovine? I'm talking about hip hop. I'm talking about hip hop.
I'm talking about rock Jimmy Iovine because he did John Lennon. He did John Lennon. He did Billy Joel. Like Jimmy was one of them guys too. But I said all that to say because if Jimmy didn't have that producer ear, he wouldn't have been able to help mold Dre into what he is now as a full producer, because I think Jimmy is the one who changed Dre from just being a West Coast hip hop producer to a worldwide super producer with the way he groomed him.
What was their connection? Jimmy Iovine and Dre. What's their
Jimmy
connection?
Iovine initially had Death Row under him, and then when Death Row started going wild, Jimmy realized who the talent was. Like, let me go get Dre from out of there, and gave him Aftermath.
So you know what's so funny? I know this might not apply, but you remember before, when NWA was out and everything, and I think what was it? Who was the producer? It was Dre was the producer, and then Ice Cube was the artist and all this type of stuff. And Easy was considered the artist manager or whatever.
Yeah,
he was like the investor.
The investor, yeah.
The investor. So what was this Jimmy Keller guy? Right, that was the lawyer, right?
That was
Jerry Heller.
Jerry Heller.
Yeah,
their manager.
Jerry Heller. Yeah. So like, what was this? Like this arrangement he had with Eazy-E to kind of like give these people a bad deal, like it's
just one of them old school music, them old school bad music deals, man. Really, it was just he was for lack of a better term, he was the white man in charge.
Mm.
And he kind of had these young black dudes and kind of told them, which we've seen a lot, oh, well, this is just how the business goes. And if you don't know how the business goes, you believe it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because Jerry Heller had a big track record before NWA. He had a big rock track record. He had a track record with like Stevie Nicks and, you know, like big rock artists. So of course you're gonna believe him because he's like, well, I've been doing this for 25 years. And you see the platinum plaques on the wall. So he just gave them that old school, especially rap is at its infancy at this point. You got to understand. So at this point, rap is at its infancy, so it doesn't have the cachet that it has now when we look at rap.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, rap was basically considered like second-class citizen music. You know what I mean? Like, this is not going to be a big thing. This is going to be a fad. So people kind of treated it like fad. He's like, I can get this bad contract because hip-hop probably going to be gone in 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, let me get in and get this money because it's going to be gone in 5 to 10 years. But I think Jerry Heller was smart enough to see, oh, this might actually be something. Because if he didn't see that, he wouldn't have went in and tried to get publishing and, you know, and get them for years on that contract. So that's one of the things that happened with that. And, you know, like I said, that even goes back to, you know, what we were talking about in regards to like people not having that
honest voice to guide them.
There you go, that honest voice to guide them. And I think you're seeing a lot of it now because, like I said, we don't have like a Quincy Jones who's like, you know, because you have Timberland, but even Timberland, it doesn't get to do what he used to do where, you know, you see an artist like, we had the era of super producers with Diddy, Rodney Jergens, Timberland, Pharrell, where they would do a whole album. Or you're going to have Pharrell do half the album and Timberland going to do the other half. You know what I mean? And those gave you those classic, like, Justin Timberlake albums, where they were kind of the Quincy Jones of Justin's first album specifically, too, all the way up to the 2020 album, where Timberland did a bunch of it, which I think is a dope classic album from Justin Timberlake. Now, these artists, you know, to Quincy's earlier point about like an artist like Chloe Bailey, dope as she is and talented as she is, and I honestly feel this way about her as well. And you can tell me if you agree or disagree, Mars. I think her should be bigger music-wise as an actual music artist, as a record-selling artist. I feel like her hasn't had the right producer yet to figure out how to translate what she does so well on stage to her album. Because I feel like her album her is totally different than live stage her. Like album her, I feel like it's kind of like Drake, moody music, and live stage her is like Prince mixed with Stevie Wonder. Right. But I feel like she haven't made that Prince, Stevie Wonder, Bruno Mars album yet that incorporates everything she does on her live show and as a live musician. And I think that's gonna take the right producer stepping in and saying like, this is the kind of record you need to make to have a classic. Because I mean, do you feel like her has like a classic album yet?
No, and I'm actually very concerned about her as well. I'm very concerned. Like within the stuff in which she's been doing lately outside of music, I'm very concerned.
Yeah?
Yes.
You think she might be like on the wrong path right now?
Whoever, I don't think she has enough honest people around her. I'll put it at that.
I think this goes back to like not really having A&Rs, right? And shout out to KP, who was our A&R at Sony. If y'all seen the Pharrell movie at Piece by Piece, Pharrell was he was in the movie. KP was in the movie because he works with Pharrell now as one of his A&Rs. But he was a real A&R, right? So when we were working on our album, KP would come and tell us like, this record is dope. You need to change the verse on this. He helped mold our album as well. So it's not just the artist's voice, right? You got somebody who's actually a music person. And I think Chloe Bailey needs an A&R. Like she needs an A&R and a producer. And I think her needs an A&R and a producer to say, not this record. Yes, this record.
And I say this, like I mean, she's a very attractive young woman, but she's way too talented for them to put so much emphasis on her sex appeal. Yes, she don't have to do that. She can fucking sing. She plays the piano. She plays a couple other instruments. Like
Yeah.
I get. I mean, she's sexy. I mean, but don't. She's too talented for them to overdo it the way that
They're
that
doing
that that
The
that, that
artists
they
really
doing
have
it.
no control of themselves at all. They can't be like, I don't want to put that on. I want to, kind of. They can't do none of. They don't have no control.
They have some control depending on where you are in your career. Let me read Stephanie's comment real quick though. I agree, Dame. Her definitely needs to make an album that showcases her vast range. Now that she has created a huge buzz, people have seen her perform with the guitar, with Usher, collaborate with other amazing artists. Now it's time for her to really kick the door open and show who she really is. I agree, Steph. Like I really think her needs to make that classic. She need to get with Stevie Wonder and maybe Timberland and put them two together and make an album for her. Like she needs something like that where it can feel old school but still have contemporary vibes of what's going on today.
I
bless
like
the
her.
best.
Her is really talented.
You know who would have been perfect to be in her ear
Who?
if that person was still alive?
Who?
Aaliyah.
Prince.
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 Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's good for anybody. That man, he was just autistic. That man had autism. If you ask me, the way he could play all them instruments with no type of former instruction. Did he ever have? Did people teach him how to play those instruments?
No, that dude taught himself, bro.
That's autism. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he was according to Jimmy Jam, he was like the GOAT in every instrument in high school.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you listen to the albums, like, because a lot of times when you listen to somebody say, "Oh, I play every instrument on my album," you'll feel like there's like a drop off in quality on something. Like, oh, he should have got a drummer, or he should have, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he was bad at any of it. Like when you hear him and Stevie. Because like when I think they said Stevie produced It's a Shame, right? For the Spinners, and Stevie played all of that. Like I think Stevie played everything except like the horns and the strings. You listen to that, Stevie killed that record. There you go, Far. Far said not autism, that's a savant. He
right.
Is.
Yeah, I associate him. She's right. I understand. It's my brain. That's my short time for it. I'm basically saying that's my
show. Maybe this show needs to create an Uber like A&R company for artists who are fledgling. Hey, that's a good idea, man. That's actually a good idea, Ryan. She said that's because even though Prince was self-taught, he was a perfectionist as well. He didn't do anything half-assed. It was either all or nothing.
But that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like if you really follow Prince's career, he started out playing clubs and gradually grew his audience, his sound, and his.
Guess who he watched from the side? Like I was talking about. Guess who he watched from the side of the curtain? Rick James.
Rick James. Yeah.
His first tour, he on the side watching Rick James. And Rick James, she's showing Rick James, showing him how to do it. So his next show, Rick James, like he's still in my shit. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's where these today artists, they want to separate themselves from previous artists. Whereas we can look at Michael Jackson and say, okay, that's James Brown, that's Jackie Wilson, that's Fred Astaire. You can look at Prince and say, hey, that's Jimi Hendrix, that's Little Richard, that's Rick James. I see Beyonce and everybody. I see a little bit of Tina Turner. I see Donna Ross. I see some MJ.
I want to get on that. I want to like, okay, because I'm not gonna talk about Beyonce because I don't want people attacking me. I personally just don't like her, right? And I know she's talented and all that, right? I'm glad he brought her up because are you familiar with that artist named Amerie? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is correct. This is some stuff I heard, but I used to love that song. It was a song Amerie had that was real dope, right? Everybody
fall in love.
Yeah.
Every time I something.
Oh, talking to me.
Right.
Yeah.
That song was hard to me, right? And around that time, Beyonce, in a short period of time, came up with a song that was very similar.
Nope. So let me explain that to you. Let me explain. Me and Mars was actually there for this. So I'm glad you brought that up. We actually was all signed to Sony at the same time when this happened.
Fucking Liddy.
We were signed to Sony with Beyonce. We were signed with Amerie at the same time.
Oh, for real?
Yep. So let me tell you what actually happened.
I want to hear this.
This is a part of the show I love when we get to give y'all a little of the behind the curtain insight.
I'm blown out the water right now.
So there was a producer named Rich Harrison who produced all of Amerie's first album.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those hit records you heard from Amerie, Rich Harrison produced them. It was time for Amerie to start on the next album. She had a guy who worked at our label who became her boyfriend.
Oh,
That'll do it.
And the guy at our label who became her boyfriend was like, "You don't need Rich for the next album. Let me put your next album together." And they kind of started Xing out Rick. And there was a little song called Crazy in Love that Rich said, "Okay, y'all Xing me out. Let me get this record on Beyonce." And the rest is history.
You know what's funny about that explanation? I have to, that obviously has to be true. You guys were there, but it's fucked up that the industry or that the like people can put out these things that sound so believable. Because in my mind, I'm looking at Jay-Z and Beyonce's, duel. I mean, their relationship, and I felt like they were holding artists back. And so before you said that, I was under the impression that like some artists can't break through when they're in the presence of other artists who can be like, nah, take her off the shelf. So I stand corrected. I thought that was something that was going.
You want those artists to blow because that gives you an opportunity, the baby acts, to then associate or tour with those big artists. It opens doors and opportunities.
Yeah. And a lot of times there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, like you said. Narratives get out there and things that people don't know about. But I feel like, and tell me, Mars, if you agree, if she hadn't started Xing Rich out of that second album, Crazy in Love might have been an A. Marie album. I mean, an A. Marie song. Crazy in Love might have been an A. Marie song.
There was a bunch of stuff they had.
Yeah, and also, to that same point, there's also something called star power, B. And as dope as A. Marie was, she was never going to be what Beyonce is, right? Because performance-wise, and you can go look this up yourself. Go look at her perform right now.
This is where Beyonce, where I've been beat upside the head, where I will say she's like a LeBron James type situation where she's all around. I'm not giving her GOAT status, but she's so all around that it's hard to find that combination. You can either sing or you can either dance. But if you can sing and dance, that seems to be rare, apparently. Like for people to be able to perform, people with good vocals seem to get on stage and stand still and do that Mary J. Blige shit and do something crazy.
I think, like to Stephanie's point, Stephanie said even though Crazy in Love might have been an A. Marie song, I don't think it would have been as big if she did it. I agree. But also at that time, being in that building, it was just like one of those perfect timing situations with Beyonce. That song, having Jay-Z, just coming off of Destiny's Child. Like it was like a perfect storm for her at that moment when her album dropped, right? It was one of those things that it was about. Sometimes everything just comes together. And I think Beyonce had those moments where everything just came. And nobody works harder than B, man. And I watched her as a solo artist work like she ain't never had an album out. And Mars, you could tell she was in the building like a new artist.
Right, but even when they were doing the white labels or releasing that song to the DJs and to the radios, everyone was more infatuated with the trumpets and the loops. It wasn't the fact that it was Beyonce; it was the trumpets and the loops and how that record made you feel.
That go-go, like that contemporary go-go feel, which hadn't been done in R&B like that.
Right,
and
it's funny you said those horns, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was like, Crazy in Love was one of those records like 50 Cent in a club. Instantly, you knew it was a smash. Like when the first time you heard it, I'm like, this record can be everywhere.
Danielle, whenever that song played, all you had to hear was the first dun, 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 dun. She lost her mind.
Yeah.
You look at everything that was going on in the club. Dun, everybody lost their mind.
And I will also say this, because she was introduced through a group, Crazy in Love didn't sound like a Destiny Child song.
Exactly.
And because me and Dan, we didn't have this conversation 100 times. You look at somebody like Ralph Tresvant, who was the lead singer of New Edition. And the reason why Ralph wasn't as big as Johnny, Bobby, or BBD, because Ralph's solo songs still sound like New Edition songs.
He didn't set himself apart from the group.
He never set himself. I mean, he even did New Edition moves.
In the sensitivity video. Yeah, you watch the sensitivity video. He's doing New Edition choreography by himself.
Yeah, by himself.
Y'all know too much. Y'all know way too much. Y'all know way too much. I shouldn't even be here. I should have to shut my
And
camera.
that's why, despite, I mean, there's no New Edition without Ralph, but despite how important he is to the group, he was probably he was the least successful
In the
solo
solo.
artist
Yep.
because he was never able to separate him from the group. When Beyonce, when Crazy in Love hit, that was like, oh shit, she's here.
Yeah. She had a ride with that record and didn't stop after that, right? So like I said, she was one of the hardest working artists that I've seen in real time. Like, because most artists who are coming off of a big, because you remember this is right after Independent Women. This is right after that huge ass, that record was huge coming off of the movie Charlie's Angels, and she come to do her solo thing. She could have acted like, oh, I got Independent Women, I'm good. No, she came in there meeting with the radio people all the time. She's flying in to sit with the graphic artist to talk about what she wants her. Like, I'm talking about every detail. Beyonce was always in the building working on her stuff like she was a brand new artist.
Never said no to anything.
And look at the people she worked with: Missy Elliott, Neo. You go down a list of folks who wrote for her. It's like you gonna come out with a hit when you messing with that group of core people,
bro. And like I said, that album, because Crazy in Love is an album that Beyonce had that did something, and Ron mentioned this earlier, that did something that kind of crossed a threshold in the zeitgeist where dudes, I had never seen that many dudes banging, like, since Erykah Badu. I would say since Erykah Badu, dudes banging a female R&B artist album like that. Like, you in the hood, the niggas is in lowriders, dun 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 dun, because it just was so big. But I remember when Erykah Badu came out, Other Side of the Game, song about the drug dealer, all the dope boys was in they lolos banging that shit loud in the hood. You know what I mean? So
that became Beyonce's Billie Jean.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this before I get off real quick. The one thing that I made me know, like, even though I don't like Beyonce as a person or whatever, I know she's a great artist. The one thing that impressed me was a song that nobody liked. There was a song nobody liked on the Austin Powers movie.
Brothers Gonna Work It Out.
I liked the beat. I liked the way, like, everybody was like, "That's garbage," and I was like,
"You know who that was?
Who
was Pharrell.
Really?
Pharrell. Yeah.
That was Pharrell on the beat.
Man, that shit was hard.
I like that beat too. That beat too.
And now another thing, when Beyonce was some performance, she was going downstairs and she fell and almost busted her head and popped back up on the beat and stuff. I was like, okay, I don't like her, but that's a cold bitch right there for that one.
No, that was Michelle.
Who? No. Beyonce was on stage by herself when.
Yeah, there was another one. B almost fell. Yeah,
I never saw the one he's talking about, but Beyonce, no, she didn't almost fall. She fell and hit her head and got right back up and was in the mid. I'm like, that's the highest level of professionalism I've ever seen in my life. Like,
I mean, she knows how to perform. She's a performer.
Well,
and sometimes we have that generation where we have singers and we have performers who not necessarily the best singer, but they know how to perform. And then we get that rare breed where they perform and they know how to sing. And she's in that rare breed class.
You guys have a good night. I appreciate you for having me. I don't belong in the company of all these music geniuses. You know what I'm saying? I'll have a more lower level topic for us regular people.
No, before you go, because we're about to go into a lower level topic that I want you on here for. So just give me a second. To wrap this up, though, I do agree with you, Mars. I think we might have lost that era where we get those kind of artists who do those kinds of things, who can go into a tour bag. And because, like, Beyonce can go all the way back to Destiny's Child, Say My Name, and shit. She got a couple albums she could do. I'm just gonna do these 2 albums, and people wouldn't be mad. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's a new artist who, like Quincy said, has that package of I'm a good singer,
and Gen Z
performer, and I got the hits.
And Gen Z is starving for it. They starving for it. Like, that's why my son favorite performer Charlie Wilson. like they starving for that type of music, that type of era. He had asked me before he knew. He's like, "Dad, can you take me to a Rick James concert?" I said, "Well, Rick ain't with us no more, but they would probably kick my ass out coming in with you going to a Rick James concert. I said I haven't really broke down to you about Rick James, but
Damn,
they'll probably call children's services on me if I take you to a Rick James concert.
Shannon said, "What about Victoria Monet?" Shannon, we talked about. Actually, I talked about her. I love Victoria Monet, and I think she has a chance to be in the mode of Beyonce and Rihanna. Victoria is a dope performer. She has dope songs, and she got, to me, what I call that animal. I call it that beast, where I could see an artist, they're gonna work their ass off to get to that next level.
Damn, you're in the Matrix.
She's very talented. I felt like I don't know. I felt like she was the next big thing. I don't know if music business changed, but she should be on that level in my
No,
opinion.
I think she's on the way. Victoria's on the way because I knew Victoria was still on her way when she there was a Star Wars show called The Acolyte, and she had a song on the Star Wars show, and I was like, oh, okay, that's huge. That's something else right there. You know what I mean? And it's not like they made her switch her steez up. It was like a Victoria Monet record coming on at the end of Star Wars. Like, I'm looking up immediately, like, is that Victoria on the end credits of The Acolyte? And I'm like, oh, and the song is cold. So yeah. Stephanie said, I'm telling you, everybody young and old are craving for live performances where they're getting more than an artist jumping around on stage acting a fool. They want a real performance, and you're really only going to get that from the older artists invested and groomed in that. Yeah, and that's why I say they're killing. Like, that's why I say, that's why I say the older artists are killing with the tours right now, because where else you going to get that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Where else you going to get that? So yeah, man. Mars, I think Mars is froze a little bit. I'm gonna take him off until he could come back.
I thought he was just super intense and focused.
I was like, you still, you sitting still as hell. So, Quincy, let's get to our next subject. I didn't even intend for that to be that long. That was a great discussion.
I'm here, Dame. I'm just taking care of something. I'll be right with you, Dame. I'm here. I'll be
okay. Cool. That was that's why we need that A&R and B. No, you're right, Ron. Like, I think, and the crazy thing is, Ron, they make it hard, man, because I've kind of tried to do like independent A&R for people, and I have a couple of artists who I felt like had it, but a lot of these artists are lazy, bro. A lot of these new artists, I could set them up with everything. Like, I'm gonna set your shows up. I'm gonna get you the music. I'm gonna get you the producers. I'm gonna get you the writers. I just need you to show up every day. I need you to do your vocal training. I need you to do your workouts. Just hold up your end of the bargain. And a lot of them just can't hold up their end of the bargain, which is why I stopped like trying to like sign artists independently myself, because it's tough, man. It's tough when you want to invest in an artist more than they want to invest in themselves. Yeah. Because they think they got it already. You know how this generation is. Like, I got it already. I ain't got to work hard. I can sing. And I tell people all the time, I'd rather work with somebody who doesn't sing that well, but is going to work their ass off, than somebody who can sing their ass off and ain't going to work that hard. Because a person who going to work their ass off, I could probably get them to sing as good as the dude who can sing their ass off if he keeps working hard. The dude who sing his ass off and don't want to work hard, they're going to stay right there. And I've seen it plenty of times. They're not going to grow. They're not going to grow as artists because they think they got it already. Like, they code and they know they code. So they're not going to work and do the work, the way they need to. So, yeah, she said you can't want them more than they do. No, that's true. Right. You could teach vocals if they had a hustle in them. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've seen it. I've watched it happen at major labels. I watched it happen at independent labels. Like, those people who are willing to work their ass off, like Usher. Usher always could sing, but I watch Usher go from just being like a decent singer to being like an incredible vocalist. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, if you go back to From My Way to Confessions, the evolution of Usher vocally, and like I said, it's not that he couldn't sing on My Way, because he could sing, but on Confessions, Usher was singing his ass off. Yeah, difference. You know what I'm saying? On Confessions, Usher was singing his ass off. So I think that's the difference. He is going from all right to a true singer. Yeah, because Usher works his ass off. I'll also, I got the chance to watch Usher because KP, who I was talking about earlier, KP also works very closely with Usher. So we got to be around Usher a whole lot during whatever album that was that had Yeah with Little John. Was that Confessions too?
No.
Which album had Yeah? Anyway, whichever album had Yeah with Lil Jon, I was around for that run. And I watched Usher, who's truly like a humble dude, but working his ass off even after he had all the hits. That's the thing that, you know, is consistent to me, is seeing artists who could be lazy because they're big already work like they don't have no records out. And I feel like Michael Jackson did that. I didn't get to be around Mike, but I feel like Mike did that. I feel like Michael Jackson worked like he didn't. Oh, she said, yeah, it was Confessions. Okay. Yeah, like Mike, I feel like Mike did that. Like Mike worked like he never had an album out, even after he had Thriller, every time. You know what I'm saying? I feel like those are the kind of artists that's gonna get you, you know, those
And,
classic albums.
yeah, and you can tell because they have back to back, sometimes classic albums. Like Mike had Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad, and Dangerous, all like with all classics. There's at least 3 classics on every album.
Yep. And that come from like I said, that's just that work ethic, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a work. So now let's get on to the next topic, and this is why I wanted you here for this, Brian. But we got a couple comments coming in. Hold on, let me read them first. How far R&B has fallen? You know what, Ron? It has, but I've actually been finding and getting turned on to some really dope music lately. A lot of times the dope R&B just ain't getting that push that the bullshit is getting, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of dope new artists out here who just ain't getting that push. Don't you still have to have a voice? Ciara works her butt off, but I don't know if she can get better vocally. She can, and she actually has. She can, and she has. Believe it or not, you can hear the progression with Ciara. That's funny that they put these comments back to back. For Ciara, she sings her ass off in more recent albums. Yeah, Ciara actually has gotten better as the album.
Ciara, wasn't she already good? What do you mean gotten better? She wasn't good. Like she was good, no?
Ciara was never looked at as like a vocalist. She was looked at as a dope all-around artist performer.
Yeah,
right?
performer.
But like as a vocalist, no, she wasn't looked at as a vocalist. But I think she's gotten better as a vocalist. Not that she was ever bad. I just want to say, not that she was ever bad, and not that Ciara couldn't sing. I just don't think that people looked at her like, oh, you know, Ciara could, you know, sing her ass off. You know what I mean? I feel like she didn't get that. Let me see. R&B has become a repurposing culture. Most tours and artists from the 90s and 2000s performing their catalogs, rarely releasing any new full-length albums, mostly singles. Shannon says Ciara's mid. Well, Tiff, you know,
She said mid.
It's because I do know a lot of
That's crazy.
old school R&B artists like to release new albums, but it's tough when you have hits like that and you at a show and you try to do a new song and niggas like, man, get your ass on stage with this new song.
Charlie Wilson tried every tour. He seen some shit and everybody, okay, this when we go to the bathroom, and then yearning to come on, and then everybody run their ass right back.
Yeah,
it just when you got classics, nobody want to hear your new shit.
we was at a show. Remember, we was at that show. MC Hammer tried to do a new song. Nigga, if you don't can't touch this, boy. If you
Hey, I went to
I came here pumps in the bump. I don't hear no new shit.
I went to Hollywood Bowl to see Anita Baker sing. I love Anita Baker, right? And what made me mad is she changed up how she, you know, how you hear it on the radio. You used to hearing the high notes, and she changed the whole. And I was listening to Body and Soul, and I'm waiting for her to get to the crescendo, and she changes it and tries to do some. I was so mad, bro. I was like, bro, I came here for that crescendo.
Hey, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when an artist don't sing a hit song the way they sang it. And I know they used to it and they probably trying to switch it up. I'm like, yo, everybody in this audience wants to hit every ad lib with you. They want to connect on, like, they don't want to hear a new version. They don't want to hear a remix. They came here to hear the joint. All right, so we could talk about this all night because we talking about music. Laura said, did you see Dalvin try to do his little side songs in the joke that she shows at House?
Nigga, I damn near lost my mom with Joyce. She performed that. I mean, with Devon, with Dalvin.
First of all, who told Dalvin to do any damn song by itself?
Yeah, Dalvin had a whole set. I was like, oh, nobody pushed back on this. I would rather for KC to do like.
I would have been like, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. That would have had to be in one of the moments.
Yeah, but those another niggas that put on a good show when they get JoJo together.
Yeah. So next, man, and that was a great conversation, man. I always love the musical conversations. That was a great conversation. Next, Kamala Harris has been making the rounds. This week she's been doing a crazy amount of like podcasts, interviews. Hold on. I think the struggle with new and emerging R&B artists is production. I agree. I'm going to see BBD December 14th. That's what I'm saying. These old artists, they ain't never gonna stop touring. As long as ain't nobody filling that void, they're gonna keep touring. But Kamala has been doing the rounds, and I think a lot of her stuff these last couple of weeks have been geared specifically towards talking to black folks, talking to her black constituents. Like she went on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Dak. She did a town hall with Charlemagne yesterday. She did the NABJ interview. Trying to figure out what else she did recently. She went on a podcast called Call Her Daddy, which is the biggest female podcast. No, I'm sorry, not female. The second biggest podcast in the world behind Joe Rogan. She did, yeah. She got the most viewers and followers, second to only Joe Rogan.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, so she did Call Her Daddy. She did Roland Martin Unfiltered. Matt Barnes, does he have a co-host that is a color? You know, Matt is black, Stephanie. He just light skinned, girl. But Steven Jackson is black too. Steven Jackson is his co-host, but Matt Barnes is black, and he like the hoodest light skinned nigga ever. But so yeah, did Roland Martin Uncensored. I know she's doing Ricky Smiley next. And she did Fox News tonight. She did Fox News with Matt Baer tonight. She went to the Lions Den tonight. I thought that was interesting, an interesting choice, but I'm glad she did it because I think she needs to go wherever she can go, you know, to be seen or to be heard. So
well, because you know she's going up against Donnie.
Yeah, and Donald Trump has kind of been doing the same. Donald Trump went on Flagrant with the Brilliant Idiots with Schultz. He's done a couple of other podcasts. I forgot to do.
I haven't seen none of those. I was shocked. You know, I don't like all this type of stuff, but I was shocked with the interview you sent me. That's the most coherent and listenable I've ever heard her, because she's irritating to me. So she took that tinge out of her nose. She was talking regular and she seemed comfortable. Maybe she took a little sip of something and she wasn't in front of a crowd. I think in an intimate setting, she might do better talking. But when she gets in front of that crowd, bro, it's like, I think y'all should be embarrassed to be like, come on, girl, like help her out with her speech a little bit or something. Cause I was in a middle class family. And, like after Saturday Night Live and all this stuff was making fun, in my eyes, even though we see it different, I'm like, I didn't see people on the liberal side belittling her like that at all. It seemed like it was people might have gotten tired of her saying the same stuff over and over. But that's just my view. I don't know how y'all able to listen to this woman. I just don't. It just blows me out the water.
Well, let me read these comments real quick. It's important for her to sit down and speak to platforms that have high viewership for people of color, because we have been the hardest to convince that she is the right person for the job. Ron said, I don't see why, Tiffany. AKA or KKK is an easy choice for me. Well, so you're talking about the Charlemagne. You're talking about the Charlemagne. What do I call it? The Charlemagne town hall, right? That I sent you. That's what you're referring to, the Charlemagne.
Right.
Okay, so I think I agree with you. I think that was her best interview yet, of all of them. Like of all of the interviews she's done so far, I think that was the best interview. I think it was the most comfortable she's been, but I feel like it was not only the most relatable, I feel like it was the most real, and the most where she made a connection. I feel like she really made a connection with folks on that last interview. Let me read Ron's comment. Negroes just place higher standards on our own while accepting nothing from white men. I agree with that 100%.
I want to respond to that on a level like I know how people look at things. I don't like Democrats. It wouldn't matter who was in that position. It wouldn't matter what woman. It wouldn't matter what man. I just don't like Democrats, and I'll never support them for the rest of my life until somebody comes up that's making a little. I'm biased. So it has nothing to do with her being a woman and not supporting black women. I probably would support. Well,
it does, because you said before you just don't think a woman should be president.
Well, I mean, you did say that. It's more things I'm saying on top of that. I mean, I don't want to offend everybody. Like everybody believes I'm an old-fashioned dude. I don't know why people accept a woman in power in a position like that. I would never do it. I know women are emotional. I'm scared of a woman.
Well, it's funny that you say that when men started all the wars and all the bullshit we have going on now.
Wars are necessary. I'm talking about triggers. Like the same way she was triggering Trump and those things, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at her, she's making them mad." Like that impressed other people. I'm like, that's agitating. Like, why can't people get up there and just be serious and talk regular, and then the other person makes a fool of themselves? So my whole thing is, it's like when she's talking to foreign people, you know, the Vladimir Putins, the Kim Jong-uns, I don't see how she's going to be able. I don't see people respecting her enough. I wouldn't want a woman leading me in battle. That's me. But I know everybody else is liberal, and you know, I feel this way. I'm like, nah, I'm sticking to tradition. This is how we've been doing good so far. And until I see,
have we been doing good?
Yeah, nigga,
I'm
we've
talking
been doing good.
I'm talking about as a country, I'm just talking about in general relative to the world. You know, like I'm not in modern day history. Just we're still a superpower. We're still number one in the world. I'm talking about in general. We've never had a woman in office in that position, so I would have no reason to believe that she could pop in and do better.
Well,
I've never seen a woman do that. I've never seen a woman in command on anything strategic like that.
Well, then you haven't looked outside the country, because we're the only country that the only.
I think Germany had a female president.
Yeah, women are bred differently. Those women are bred differently. Those women are bred totally differently. Like you got the Chinese women, all that, the people that are in the military, they're different than our people. Like I see a fragility in our people as a whole, and I just don't think that a woman representing our country would be something. You know, that's not a problem. We can get off that because it's not a properly. He said Trump agitates people all the time, but she can do it. Blah blah blah. blah. The Stephen, maybe Master Candy.
Yeah. Trump was probably one of the most emotional
Here
niggas
come
I've ever seen take off.
insults. Let's get ready. Go ahead.
But I outside of the insult, Brian, I do agree though. Like you hold her to a standard that you don't hold Trump to. Like Trump literally,
She's a woman.
But what they got to do with the standard that you hold?
I don't know how to I don't know how to answer that. To me, that's common sense. To me, that's biblical. For those that believe in the Bible, it's just common sense.
Oh yeah, that's nah. Condoleezza Rice was the one who was the Secretary of Defense. That was a woman, and she was a Republican in leadership of battle. And man may have the face, but there have been many women pulling strings. That's actually a good point. Your Republicans had
like Nancy Reagan.
Rice.
Nancy Reagan?
No, not like Nancy Reagan. No, Condoleezza Rice was actually in power with the administrations that she worked for with George W. Bush.
You know, I do like Condoleezza Rice. I probably would have if she were in office, that might be the only woman, just because of her experience and where she was at. I might give her a little bit of leeway, but I don't see no power in politics and no other woman that I would want leading me. That's just me.
Well, and you know, it's interesting you say that, and I'm glad you said it, because you are kind of like the avatar for a lot of the conversations that me and Quincy have been having with guys in regards to Kamala Harris talking about policy versus Trump, and then black men who support Trump kind of moving the goalposts in regards to the things that they say that they don't like about Kamala. Or like first it was like, she's not doing enough interviews. She starts doing interviews. She's not doing enough interviews that have hard-hitting questions. She did interviews that have hard-hitting questions. She doesn't talk enough about policy. She rolls out all of her policy. Her policy isn't specific enough. Then she starts giving specific policy. She ain't said nothing about black men specifically. She does something for black men specifically. Well, she said something about black men specifically, but now she ain't said nothing about child reparations. So the goalpost keeps moving, but also the same standard has not been held to Trump. Like the things that people are
my goalpost.
I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about, that's why I say you kind of like the avatar for a lot of the black male Trump voters. Not saying that you said that specifically, but I'm saying like the goalpost has been moving, and the standard that people are trying to hold Kamala to on the side that say they supporting Trump, they don't hold Trump to that same standard in regards to the things you ask for policy wise. Trump ain't been talking about no damn policy. The only policy Trump has talked about is tariffs. He think he can solve every fucking thing with tariffs. They asked him about child care. You know what this nigga said? Tariffs. They asked him about housing. You know what he said? He gonna fix housing with tariffs. They asked him about the Ukrainian war. He said he gonna end the war with tariffs. This dude literally has not laid out a real plan for anything, but everybody talking about how they need to hear more from Kamala and they need this and that from her, but they're not asking the same thing from Trump in regards to the policy initiatives and the stuff about the border. Just because Trump says a bunch of racist shit about the border, He still ain't talked about how he actually would fix the border, and people act like he wasn't already the president for 4 years and didn't fix the border when he was the president for 4 years. So it's the oddest thing. So no, I wasn't saying you specifically. I was saying black men like you.
I wasn't. No, what I was trying to say is the goalpost in my mind. I had a line when Biden was president, and he chose her as his vice president, and right there I was like, dude, I hope he stays alive. I hope nothing. I was already nervous because I saw this happening. Like I saw this happen. And so I just never wanted her in the position at all. Period.
Massage noir, to be specific. Yeah, you're right about that far. We just have to realize this type of mentality is a small demographic amongst us, and we just have to outvote those who feel this way. Y'all gonna get this WAP woman ass president, whether y'all like it or not. Jim said, the president isn't the person who's usually doing the negotiations and talking with the other heads of states. That is usually the secretary of state. The position is basically like being a prime minister of other countries. President is in charge of domestic affairs, more so. Oh, these some great comments is popping in. Voting for someone just because of their gender is asinine to me. Why should it matter whether male or female? If they are the right person for the job and they can get things done, they can be done.
Old fashioned.
I'll vote for a damn donkey.
Life experience and
Sharon said many men who support Trump speak from very misogynistic viewpoint. Fair with the big what?
It's too much feminization. It's too much feminization. So there has to be some backlash.
Jim says, so name a great vice president. Their complaints are crazy and you vote against your blackness. Trump is crazy. Trump can't be trusted. Ron said most of those with this mentality don't vote. So let's just worry about those who vote. You know what? And I know you vote. And like I said, I know, Brian, you've been a conservative since we were in high school. So I feel like your situation is a little different. But a lot of these dudes who just jumped on the Trump bandwagon, you'll be arguing for an hour and a half. And I'm asking, do you vote? And they be like, no, I don't vote. But they the loudest online with the pictures talking about her like she's Kamala the hoe and this and all that. And then I ask them, are you voting? And they say no. Go ahead, Quincy. I'm sorry, bro.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you have daughters. I have daughters. I know Dame have daughters. And, as your daughters grow up, I told my daughters, I was like, you have to work twice as hard because this country is racist, but it's just as sexist. And we seeing it live in action every day. That Kamala is going against those two strikes. She's dealing with the sexism and the racism. And that's the thing that black women deal with more than any other group of people. That they have to not only deal with the racism, but they also have to deal with the sexism.
And then you talk about political realm, Quincy, too. She got to walk a tightrope of...
She can't even get angry because then she gets labeled as an angry black woman as she get insulted. And we just, I said Obama didn't even go through this shit because he's a man. So he just had to deal with the racism. He didn't have to deal with the sexism. Hillary, she white, she didn't have to deal with the racism. She just had to deal with the sexism. But Kamala has to deal with both. As long as I've been following politics, I ain't never seen as much dis and misinformation about a candidate where people are just completely, blatantly, factually wrong. And they throwing that shit out there, and you can find the information, the correct information about her, but that's not what they want to believe. And I just said, this is what this country, that's what I told my daughters, this is what this country is. This is what you up against. You got to fight being black, and you got to fight being a woman. And God bless your soul because you going against you're in a country where sexism and racism is
she said and she
equally
ain't
as bad.
snapped yet. I'm sorry, that was funny. And she ain't snapped yet.
I'm gonna go back to Jim's comment. He said, not to mention, she has worked her way through politics from local, state, and national. Trump can't even run a company without destroying the business and doing shady underhand tactics to cheat the people he worked with. And to me, this comment in a nutshell is America. She could do everything the right way. She could run, she could be a senator, an AG, district attorney, work her way up, and people still talking about who she had sex with 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Where Trump cheated on his first wife with his second wife, cheated on his second wife with his third wife, and cheated on his third wife with a porn star.
Right. And
see, this is where, and I'm only being open about this because I know I'm not favorable what I'm saying, but I don't know what I look weird talking about. This man did this with her, like what? Like that sounds crazy to me.
But I think you look weird talking about what she did 30 years ago too. I think you look weird.
But they doing it to her. They do it to her, and the thing is, the man she was messing with was separated for his wife for 15 years. To the point they lied and talking about they literally photoshopped Diddy's face on Montel Williams' face and said that she was fucking with Diddy. And this was like this is just not people.
That was a joke. That was a joke, though, right?
No. These are like reporters and journalists spreading this shit. They literally photoshopped Diddy's face on Montel Williams and said that she was with Diddy. But then Trump got weird pictures with Diddy and Epstein. Not Photoshop, real pictures. But nobody want to mention that. But if she did have a picture with Diddy, they was trying to they was quick to try to discredit her character and insult her with a fabricated relationship with Diddy, where Trump actually had pictures and been to parties with Diddy and Epstein. But
so that's what I'm talking about when I say the standard that she deals with, opposite of Trump. And I had this conversation earlier. I did another podcast with Arc Republic. Shout out to Arc Republic. I did a podcast with them earlier, and I said, you know what? I wouldn't mind people questioning Kamala Harris's blackness if it wasn't at the behest of a racist white man. You are carrying the water for a racist black man, questioning her blackness at the behest of a racist white man, and I can't stomach that.
See, to me, it's like I've liked Donald Trump like before presidency. Like I liked him back a long time ago. So she's a new face to me. She's not somebody that I personally can relate to.
So you relate to a rich white man more than you relate to a black woman?
I relate to whatever Trump, when Trump was involved in the Trump Towers with Don King and Mike Tyson, and when he funded Jesse Jackson's election, when he did those things, I remember those things. I remember when he was involved, and I never saw anything fucked up. It wasn't until he ran for the presidency that all this slander and racism came in. I don't know if he's racist.
That's actually not true. It's actually not true.
What's not true?
That people didn't talk about his racism before he was running for president. People talked about his racism when he discriminated.
The renting the apartments and all that type of stuff.
Yes.
He was sued.
See,
yeah. Like that was talked about, or him trying to lynch.
You mean the management company that he had? The management
company, and him trying to lynch the Central Park Five, like putting the ad in the paper.
That might be the one thing that I don't like. I don't, that was some bullshit. But it's like, I mean, like how y'all keep playing both sides. It's like, well, he just got everybody. He had, how many rappers did he take off out of prison for that he pardoned?
That don't mean shit to me because they pay for it.
Yeah, he was getting paid $2 million a pardon for that.
Yeah, that getting guilty niggas off don't.
Smart bit. It's like I like smart business. I like.
Well, hold on. You like smart business, but he went bankrupt.
A nigga that was bankrupt like 12 times.
Let me tell you what's smart about bankruptcy. Let me tell you what's smart about bankruptcy for people in different positions, right? If you basically have like millions of dollars, right, and for some reason, for whatever strategy you're pulling, you don't want to pay your debt. When you file bankruptcy, the get back up it's much better for you to do a bankruptcy when you have money than to do it when you don't. He did it when he had money and he stayed on top. And to me, when he wrote his book about closing the deal, I'm a salesman.
Yeah, he didn't write that book though.
What the book was in wasn't that in his name?
Yeah, he didn't write that book, bro.
Okay, whether he wrote the book or not.
That's what I'm saying. Like for me, I want you to educate yourself on the things that you see him for. That's like a lot of straw man shit. Like that's not like.
I mean, but there's nothing you can do to match. Kamala can't pop up in my life in 2 years or 4 years. I've never known this woman. I see what's going. I'm looking at her demeanor up there. I've known Donald Trump for 20, 30 years on television as a personality. No different than when you see a TV show, an actor that you're used to. Somebody takes their role. They could be a better actor. Let me throw an example out there. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Remember the original mom? The original dark-skinned mom, then the new mom came, right? For people who didn't know the old mom, they thought she was good. But then you see the old mom, you're like, why'd they get rid of her? So I'm familiar, I'm imprinted on the person that I've seen for years. I don't know who she is.
Well, if you could see Donald Trump for years and see the shit that he has said and done, and you still support him, this shit, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not a
I
person
mean,
who cares. I don't care about popularity. I care about people that are acting
you
themselves.
and you don't care about racism either, apparently.
Because I'm racist.
Obviously. Obviously, you don't like niggas. That's obvious.
No, I don't like.
I mean,
you can't. You can ask me. You can't tell me. I don't like. No,
I mean, you support a racist who don't like niggas.
That has nothing. Like, as far as the presidency is concerned, I don't see how that even relates. A racist white man in office. Even if I can confirm that he's racist, let's say he's racist, that doesn't shift me from putting a woman before a man in an office like that. It don't shift me.
You're supporting a man that the Ku Klux Klan endorses. The Ku Klux Klan endorses.
We have two people.
You support him.
We have two people in front of us.
Yeah, and you support the one that the KKK endorses. You support the one that white nationalists, the Nazis, endorses. People who hate niggas. That's who you support. So when you look at 2025 and they talking about gearing the DOJ to help the rights of white men, white supremacy. When Trump is boasting about his people getting rid of voting rights, affirmative action, what you think is next? Civil rights is next. There's voter suppression going on right now. The things that people died and fought for in the 1960s, he's put people in place to take that shit away. That's what we up against.
And these are facts. These ain't hyperbole. You know, it ain't what we think. This is actually happening in real time. I mean, think about it. You talking about the guy who doesn't want Black history taught in schools.
Like, it's crazy.
Like,
police officers full immunity. We know who that's going. He want to bring back stop and frisk.
Yeah,
knowing that stop and frisk was what they said that was unconstitutional because they was pretty much using it against black people.
I don't agree with everything he does. Everything you're saying right there. I agree.
Well, let me ask you this then. What do you agree with that he's done? Let's do that. Let's go from there. What do you agree with that he's actually done?
I like the way he handled the pandemic, despite everybody not like. I personally like the way he handled the pandemic. He didn't. To me, he didn't fearmonger. I didn't like the way everybody else was fearmongering. I felt
by calling it a hoax for 3 months while people were dying.
See, this will be a conversation for another day. Like, this is gonna make everybody laugh. Like me myself, I never got sick. I personally never got sick, and I was around a bunch of people got sick. So in my mind, I'm like, this is probably nobody in my circumference died. I knew a bunch of people. I heard a bunch of things. I was never in close contact. Me myself, I was out. As a matter of fact, around the election time when all this stuff was going on, I was in one of the worst areas in LA, and I watched all the homeless population. I watched them. I said, if these people start dying, then I believe this is a pandemic. Whatever it was a rebranding of the flu. Where is it at now?
Oh, no, it wasn't, because over 500,000 people died from the pandemic. Just because you didn't know somebody personally. I know a few people personally who died of COVID. So I think it's kind of super disrespectful to say because you didn't know nobody, that's not a real thing.
I know people who have to wait 3 months to bury their mother because the mortuaries was too full because of COVID deaths.
Right. Now the people saying that he caught COVID and everything and he handled it great, that's my point. That's part of my, like, if an old white man can catch COVID and he's good, then I don't believe.
Well, here's the problem.
I don't believe it was as serious as people were saying.
He was getting the medication, but he was telling everybody else that the shit was a hoax.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You better believe he was getting the vaccine before anybody else was getting that shit.
You guys got vaccinated, right? You guys?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did.
See, and I'm not dissing nobody, right? And I have respect for you guys. That's something I could never. It's like this, and I see that we're on different spectrums. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. I personally can't. Nobody can tell me to stick myself. It's not like that. Has to be that's something that has to be forced upon me against my will. I can't be stuck. You know what I'm saying? I haven't got a vaccination since 3rd grade. You know what I'm saying? So me, myself, and the only reason I didn't have a choice then I was a kid. As an adult, I believe my immune system, for those who are religious, which I'm not, that believe in God, if you believe your temple is a temple, you can heal yourself just by eating right and doing the right things. I never felt that I needed a foreign agent in my body to heal me, and I don't need a doctor that doesn't. Now you talk about racism, our healthcare system is racist. I don't want to take advice from them. When I look at how they handle things and when you go in there, like the stuff that they say, oh, this is good for you, they have side effects and a bunch of other stuff. Half the stuff they're saying is only good for people of a different nature. Our people don't need that kind of stuff.
You know what? You're right. Our healthcare system is racist. That's why he's trying to take away people healthcare who Obama set up so poor people could have healthcare, and he's trying to take it away, knowing that most of the people who's going to suffer if he take away Obamacare, it's going to be poor black people, poor minorities. They're going to suffer the most if he take away Obamacare. And you know what he got? He said he got a concept. After 10 years of trying to get rid of some shit, he still don't have a plan to replace it.
Well, and this is the thing. This is where Jim said America is racist in all aspects of it, actually. Yeah. But this is where your logic is a little flawed, Brian. Just because you're using anecdotal evidence.
I hear what you're saying. I understand.
You know what I'm saying? You're using anecdotal evidence.
See, the reason why I'm not a friendly person for these kind of things, because I'm more of a black and white math person. So I don't have these type of, things are either this or that for me. So I don't have a ability in the real world to be able to relate. Like everything you're saying is foreign to me. I just don't think like that.
It's not about think, but see, that's the thing. It's not about thinking like that. It's about like actual facts. Like it's about actual facts and things that actually happen. Like to say, well, Trump got COVID, he didn't die, so that means it must not be too bad.
No. But I'm saying the thing is, we're having a regular conversation, and you're trying to pick it apart. We're like, I'm letting you know, myself. I said, if I get sick, I'm just going to take this fade. So if I see people that are getting sick and they're not dying, and the news is saying this is spreading across the world, people are dying. If I don't see that, I can't respond like you guys. If you guys saw people dying, you can respond like that. I didn't see it. I saw some fear mongering. And for a second I was scared, and I'm like, ooh, should I get this? Nah, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm personally glad that I didn't take it. So I like the fact, so cancer isn't real. What is that? How is that related? This person right here, I don't, you know what? Anyway.
Because what you're basically saying is, dog, you're saying if something don't affect you personally, then it don't affect your refuge.
I've seen the effects of cancer. People in my family have died of cancer. People have cancer all on my mama's side. I might die of cancer or heart disease. On my dad's side, heart disease. On my mama's side, cancer. I'm aware of these things. COVID is not something that's ever taken out anybody I know. I see COVID on the back of fucking Lysol cans. I've never seen, why is it not killing people now? What happened? Why shouldn't I be dead? I didn't have a vaccination.
No, because that's not how, bro. That's not how, like, some people die from the flu and some people don't. That don't mean just because you didn't die from the flu that nobody dies from the flu. You understand what I'm saying? Like, just because somebody didn't die from COVID, right, doesn't mean nobody died.
But it goes both ways. Just because this doesn't imply that, but that doesn't imply this either.
No, it doesn't go both ways. No, it doesn't go both ways, because think about the number of people who died from COVID. Think about
I have a logical argument for that. Doctors were paid $15,000 per diagnosis. People were dying of stuff that had nothing to do with COVID, but they called it COVID related. They called it COVID. They inflated those numbers to put fear in people. This is a fact.
What's the source for this fact?
Yeah, that's not a fact. That's not a fact.
Those numbers were inflated. No, I know. Not a fact. I know of people that died of other things and they called it COVID related. You could have had COVID and been all right and died of cancer. They were going to say it was a COVID.
I thought you said you didn't know nobody who died of COVID.
I'm talking are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm saying that on TV, not nobody I know, they were saying, well, I see what I know some. I don't know anybody in particularly in my close circle. I've heard of somebody that had cancer and was dying, and because they had COVID, they put COVID related. Y'all didn't hear nothing. Y'all didn't hear nothing about that. Y'all didn't hear nothing about COVID related overriding whatever diagnosis they had prior. No? Well, I did. And the after effects of the vaccine are happening right now. You got young people falling out. Nobody can say whether that's. Can you say that that's not from the vaccine? I had my skepticism about the vaccine still. So, you know, like maybe the majority of people had no problem with it, but I know people whose children are having heart palpitations and heart problems. Me, myself, I have a heart murmur. I'm not going to take something that I think that could affect me in the long run. The vaccine had nothing to do with me. COVID had nothing to do with me.
I don't know. Just like you said, you don't know. I don't know if the vaccine for sure has something to do with, you know, somebody falling out, because
Right.
that stands to like were people having heart palpitations before the vaccine? Yes. Were kids falling out before the vaccine? Yes. Did Hank Gathers have a heart attack playing basketball for Loyola Marymount way before the vaccine? Yes. So I can't attribute that, you know, because we've been talking about almost every year since I was in high school. Even you could point to 2 or 3 kids who died during summer, getting ready for football and heat exhaustion and all that. So it's, you know, it's hard to say that that's the reason why. And people
see, you know what I think, you know what would have made me believe it if they had gave people the choice. But when I saw them talking about herd immunity, and this is what I saw. I'm a numbers person. I sat back and I watched them talking about how it was spreading. When they start giving the vaccine and they start saying people were dying, my brain was going, wait a minute, the way you're doing this, I can't isolate the variable. How do you know the difference between the people that are dying from the vaccine or people that, you know, or the people who didn't say, how can you, in that period of time, there was no way to distinguish between people who were dying that didn't have the vaccine or people that were dying from the vaccine. You couldn't tell. So I can't take that data and use it. Me personally.
There was data that the majority of the people that were dying was not vaccinated.
Yes. Then that's data you can find.
that was actually data.
What data? You around when COVID came out, I think November or December the prior year, and it kind of blew around February of the next year. By the time everybody heard about it, when you go back, when they started vaccinating people, and they're like 6 months out of the blue, you come up with a vaccine when it takes so long to do it. I saw too many holes in the way that was implemented, and it looked like something orchestrated to me.
I mean, that's fine, but that's what I'm saying. Like, again, you're talking anecdotal, right? Because you're talking to you.
It doesn't. But
there's things that
line of reasoning.
I get it, but I'm saying there's your personal anecdotal, you know, evidence that convinced you to do one thing, right? And I'm not taking away from your personal experience.
There's nothing illogical about my argument.
Well, it is, because there's data to show that the more people die. Well, let me say what I'm saying. There's more data to show that more people died that weren't vaccinated. Like most people who died weren't vaccinated. If you go back to the beginning of COVID, before there was a vaccine, right? And honestly, think about it. To say, if you want to talk about how the vaccine worked or didn't work, if in your opinion, after a majority of people got vaccinated, which happens with all vaccinations, if you go back in history and do your history and read about how herd immunity and all that works, after a vast amount of people were vaccinated, the COVID strains got less and less. Mm-hmm. That's factual. That the strains got less and less, and now it's damn near like a common cold for a lot of people. Less people are dying from COVID right now than were dying before there was a vaccine. If you want to talk about anecdotal evidence, right? And there's, like I said, there's data to show that. And again, like I said, if you want to know how actual viruses work, because if the vaccine didn't work at all, or if the vaccine wasn't what it was supposed to be, people would have kept dying at the same rate. Hold on, people would have kept dying at the same rate, and the strains, because remember, for a minute before the vaccine, the strains were actually getting worse. Remember, they start coming with Delta, they start coming with, you know, all these different strains, and the strains were getting worse until the vaccine. And you know what I would ask you to do? Talk to some healthcare professionals who actually worked in the ER at that time. Talk to some people, and I'm not talking about doctors. I'm talking about the actual nurses who actually work with these people.
I'm glad you said that. I live not too far from a hospital, and when I saw the news giving all those reports of the hospitals being full and everything, I remember driving by the hospital, like looking, and I didn't see what they were saying. So Maybe
You can't drive by the hospital and see what's going on inside.
no, because they were reporting them overflowing and nurses not.
There was overflow. There was like people literally had trailers of dead bodies behind the hospital, refrigerated trailers of dead bodies behind the hospital because there was nowhere to put them. This is not something that was made up. This is real. That's what I'm saying. You keep using anecdote like, oh, I drove by, so since I didn't see it crowded, that means it wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you keep using this word anecdotal. If somebody tells you that there's a pandemic going on and people are dropping like flies, and in your circumference of miles, the whole city you're in, you don't see it, what's anecdotal about that? This is
anecdotal because there are actual people who died. Like, just because you don't see it doesn't legitimize. Just because you didn't see it in your circle doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because me and Quincy both are sitting on this call.
I agree with that, but I'm
telling you that it's happened in our circle. We know people who've died from COVID in our circle.
Now, is it possible? Now, I'm without flipping out. Is it possible that they died of something else? Is it possible?
No, it was COVID. It was COVID. It was COVID. One guy died right before it was like became a pandemic. And I don't know if y'all remember, there was a time people just thought they were getting a super bad flu, like that December, before it was announced what COVID actually was. Friend of mine who was fine. We can't hear you.
I gotta dip up out of here and take care of some business. I just stayed for that topic. I appreciate you. Love, peace, and respect. Y'all have a good one. I gotta get up out of here. Thank you.
All right. Farrah said they had to bring in a ship to NYC to use a hospital mortuary.
We had one here. They had to bring it from San Diego and park it over in San Pedro because UCLA Harvard, the county hospital, was too packed.
Yeah.
So same thing here.
Yep. Stephanie said, I can tell you personal experience that hospitals were overflowed. I actually had my kidney transplant in July 2020. The March before, I was having issues with my potassium being too high and had to go to the hospital. They were not allowing anyone who were not a patient into the hospital. The waiting rooms were filled to capacity. There were tents outside and the parking lot filled to capacity. And some people were being turned away because they had no room for them. That experience, hold on, let me try to read the rest. That's the experience. Farrah said, thank God. Anecdotal definition of an account, not necessarily true or reliable, because based on personal accounts rather than facts or research. Thank you, Yucatan. COVID attacks the entire respiratory system, but it's definitely affected other organs as well, which caused increased mortality rates.
Because a lot of people they died from fluid in their lungs, pneumonia, but it was as a result of the COVID virus.
Yeah, and I got a little sidetracked because I don't know how we got down that road. Oh, because he was talking about why he liked Trump, and he said Trump handled COVID,
the pandemic. Yeah,
the pandemic, which he did a terrible job. Not only did he handle the pandemic terribly, he also, the way he handled the pandemic is the reason we end up having so much inflation, and the way our economic system has been so bad.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back to him removing that virus, that disease task force that Obama had placed in China to catch shit like this before it came over here.
Yep.
And he and Trump removed that disease task force out of China just because Obama did it, and Obama literally placed them there so if shit like this come about, we could jump on it early before it even get here. Kind of like what happened with the Ebola virus when that one person got Ebola. Obama then was able to isolate that guy right away. Nobody else got it. Shit didn't spread, and it was taken care of. The guy eventually
hit a couple of these comments. Farrah Safari said, dude, why bring that guy to trigger everybody? Please vote everyone. Dumb ninjas like that dude gonna fuck this election. So that's why I brought him on, Farrah, because I want y'all to see that there are a lot of guys who feel like him.
I work with one.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys who feel like him. So I want y'all to be aware of what's going on. Let me. Shannon said I had a family member down for weeks because they were told they might have walking pneumonia. That was before they knew what COVID was. Tiffany Black, what up, Tiff? I was working in the ER and med surgery during COVID and actually watched people die from it. The vaccine definitely helped reduce those numbers. Stephanie said, didn't Trump even remove the head of the CDC because they were disagreeing with what he was saying?
Yep.
And my auntie said, "Remember, Dane, what happened at the hospital when I had emergency surgery?" Yeah, she had emergency surgery. It was a terrible experience because all the hospitals were full. It was hard for them to, get her scheduled in. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was like it was her and my mom was in the hospital. My mom passed like right after COVID, right? But they were in hospital during that whole COVID experience, and just being in the hospital, even if you didn't have COVID, it affected so many other things with trying to get surgery scheduled, trying to have your regular checkups. So yeah, it was terrible.
Because remember, they didn't have enough respirators for everybody.
Yep. Your friend that just hopped off is the kind of people I refrain from getting in political debates with. His view is one-sided, and he isn't educated on what he's speaking. It's nothing like being loud and wrong, but it's a lot of that going on, Tiff. I want y'all to understand. I've been having that's why I said he's like an avatar for a lot of black dudes I've been talking to. He was like the avatar of a lot of conversations I had. So
he's mild.
He's mild compared to some of the conversations we had. Yeah. That's the crazy
actually
thing.
mild.
But before we get out of here, this is the thing I wanted to talk about, and the thing that I wanted to ask y'all. Do you think, Farah said one word, anarchy, pretty much. Do you think the podcast and the interviews that Kamala did this week, do you think they will move the needle with her for some of the black people that she may have lost, or some of the black people that weren't convinced, or even some of the swing voters like doing Call Her Daddy?
I think that, tell you the truth, I think that her losing the black vote is overblown.
Okay.
I really do. They've been saying this shit since Bush. Bush doubling up his black voters, blah 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 blah. Because one thing about black people, in the end, I'm not saying Trump might not get like 15%, 17%, which is normally the amount of black people normally vote Republican. But this whole like, oh, she's losing a black, I guarantee you, when the election ends, black man will be the second biggest group of voters behind black women for Kamala.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm willing to bet that. I'm willing to bet that. To me, I just think she shore up some things, and she showed that things that she wasn't that she wasn't afraid to talk about, that I felt that Obama was afraid to talk about.
Agree, 100%.
I think to me, Obama wouldn't touch reparations.
Yep.
Never want to bring that shit up.
or be specific about black people. Honestly,
be specific about black men, black people, black women, and I think that if anybody thinks she's just pandering, all I actually go look at her record as a senator. You would see that she co-sponsored the reparations bill as a senator. You would see that I had one dude tell me, "Oh, she didn't support the George Floyd Act." Nigga, she wrote it.
The misinformation is crazy, dog.
She's a co-author of the George Floyd Policing Act. She co-wrote the bill as a senator. So I tell people, look, you can look at, you can hear articles, you can hear talking points. One thing that always going to show you where a person stand on is where they vote on. And go look at Kamala record when this bill specifically for black folks that helps us and support us. She has always either she co-sponsored it, co-wrote it, or voted for it every single time. And he said Kamala just popped up 2 years for him. Well,
Yeah.
I've been knowing about Kamala since she was a district attorney, because she came along when I was a police officer. So I remember she was labeled as the black liberal woman. They called her a social worker prosecutor because she wasn't throwing niggas in jail. She had programs where guys could work off their felonies. And
First step program, y'all go look it up.
The First Step program. She had these type of programs that she worked on and created, and she was called by Republicans. She was the black liberal woman who was soft on crime. She was like a social worker more than a prosecutor. And then when she decided she gonna run for president, then they flipped it. She became the Indian woman throwing niggas in jail. So I remember what the narrative was back then. Kamala might be new to a lot of people, but not to me. And her not being black and throwing black people in jail didn't start until 2020 when she decided to run for president, because they knew only a small portion of the country would know who she is. If you're not from the Bay Area
California.
or California, you're really not gonna know who she is. So they were able to push a false narrative about her because somebody in Florida, Texas, Chicago, New York don't know. What they talk about. She had
And on
1900.
top of that, going back to what me and you talked about, been talking about since we was doing Uncool back by El Camino, the problem with Democrats and their messaging. Now she's been doing to me with this
This is the best
campaign.
messenger I've
This is
ever
the best
seen.
messaging I've seen from a Democrat, even over Obama. This is the best messaging I've seen from a Democrat. Period. I ain't gonna say since. Period. Out of all since I've been paying attention to politics, this has been the best Democratic messaging ever, and I think she's done a great job. Let me read this comment from Farr. Project 2025 will get a lot of the newest crop of voters to the polls. Same with women on both sides and BIPOC voters. It's turning a lot of swing state Republican. Yeah.
She's actually doing better with white women than Biden in the polls.
Yeah, I think a lot of people voting for Trump are voting from a place of emotion. They are, Shannon. Like I said, listen to what Brian's saying. A lot of stuff he's saying wasn't factual. It was like how he feel. It didn't have nothing to do with what's actually happening, what's really happening. One, at the end of it, like I said, all that policy talk be basically hiding a lot of sexism. And I want to ask you about this too, Quincy, because I know Barack Obama got a lot of flack for it. Him talking about, black men being misogynistic and people getting on his head, like, why are you wagging your finger at black men when black men still overwhelmingly vote for Democrats, even if it's went down a little bit? Why are black men getting the blame? And when, like Charlamagne said, which I thought was a great point, when Charlamagne said, talking to Kamala on her town hall, he said, when is Hillary Clinton gonna come out and start wagging her finger at white women for not voting for you? When is Bill Clinton going to start wagging his finger at white men? Because we vote overwhelmingly more than them. Like, you're going to have, even with the drop-off right now, you're going to have probably 80% of black men voting for you and 95%.
What will be number two? I guarantee you. We will be the number two biggest
voting block.
Biggest voting block behind black women when it comes to Kamala.
So black women will be 90%. Black men will probably land somewhere between 80 and 85. And white men is going to be between 50 and 40.
And Latino men will be around 65.
50, yeah, white women might be around 60, 65. So I did agree that I said, while there was some truth to what Obama was saying about those who are voting for Trump, one, I think he wasn't the right messenger for it. No. I don't think he was the right message for it, only because we got a lot of people who look at him with a little side eye because he didn't do nothing specifically for black men.
I think Michelle would have been better
to have that message, right?
To have that message.
I think he was the wrong person to carry that message.
People look at Barack as a politician. They just look at Michelle as a black woman. They don't look at her as a politician. They just look at her as her very strong, powerful, authentic black woman. That's why her approval rating is higher, because they know Michelle don't even like politics.
Right.
She don't. So she comes off more genuine and authentic than someone who is a politician. So I think it would have been better having Michelle talk to black. I mean, but I agree. I think that.
Oh, this is a good question. I'm sorry, this is a good question. Dame, what makes you think black men will be number two voting for Kamala Harris? I see so much pushback from black men. Because that pushback from black men is the loud and wrong dudes a lot of times, Shannon, and it's not the majority. It seems like it's a majority because they so loud with it. But I'm willing to put so much. I'm willing to put $50,000 on the line and say black men still gonna be the second biggest voting block because more white women ain't gonna vote. for Kamala than black men. More white men ain't gonna do it. More Latino men
No,
or more
man,
Latino
nope.
women. There is no other demographic that's gonna vote for Kamala more than like. So, for example, Shannon, you know how people are amplifying these voices of the people who are against Kamala? There was a phone call, Black Men for Kamala Harris. It was like almost 300,000 black men on that call. Nobody
Yeah.
talks about that.
Nope.
300,000 black men and raised $5 million in a few hours. So that's why a lot of times they amplify these voices that aren't the majority. They did it with, remember they tried to do it with Hillary Clinton. They start trying to count for black men with the Hillary Clinton shit. And black men still voted for Hillary at like
That's
an
still number
88% clip, right?
Yeah. Same deal.
They always gonna try to blame us though. We've been talking about this for years.
They use these loud black voices because they say things that they can't say.
Yeah.
You know, calling Kamala a hoe, and you know, like being very disrespectful and insulting. So they would prefer to use the loud black man who's insulting her because it comes off better because
They can get away with it.
Yeah, and then nobody's gonna scream racist.
Yeah.
Because a white man do that shit, he's like, motherfucker, you're a racist. So they would use the loud black voices to attack her. They did the same shit with Obama.
Yeah. Let me read this comment from Yucatan. He said Brian wasn't factual and he was only thinking of self. People who like Trump are like Trump internally. Damn, that's a good point. That's why minorities for Trump will yell butt off racism to stand hand in hand with white supremacists. Damn, that's deep. Stephanie said that's just like those people who are always complaining about the same stuff over and over again, but still will go along with the very thing that they're complaining about. Exactly. Ronnie said Black women worldwide will be dragging a man to the polls and making sure they vote for Kamala, or they're gonna be dealing with the lover strike. But and that's the funny thing, like we said earlier, I think a lot of those black men that are polling high, I'm not gonna say high because it's still even 15% is considered high for Trump.
Yeah, that's
right.
High.
So even if they say 15% are polling earlier.
So what they comparing it to? They're comparing it to Obama.
Yes.
Which Obama had the advantage of being the first or something. So polling Obama, cause I think Obama got like 92% of black men vote.
Yeah.
And John McCain got like 8%. So they comparing it to Obama. But like I said before, Obama didn't have to deal with the element of sexism.
Yep.
So when you add the element of sexism, it bump up a little bit to about 15%, but that's still 85% of black men supporting Kamala.
And also, you know, because what they're saying is they're like, oh, Trump has doubled his percentages with black people. But yeah, that's from 7% to 14.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like the way they play with the percentages, y'all, and the way they serve this to y'all. That's why I say don't fall for it, because they like to try to blame black men for everything when it's like, we gonna be her second biggest voting block. So this ain't on us. You ain't gonna blame. You ain't gonna take them 15% of black men that do.
It's gonna come down to white women.
Let me read this from Jim. Charlemagne asking that question about Hillary and Bill Clinton wagging their finger was off base because white people vote en masse for white candidates because they are white. Black people could have been great politicians, but was given opportunity because of voting for their own. No, I don't think it was off base, Jim, only because at that point, they're not talking about black votes versus white votes or black candidates versus white candidates. At that point, they're talking about Democrats. And you talk about all the voting blocks of Democrats, right? So if the voting blocks for Democrats and you wagging your finger at 15% of black men, then somebody need to be wagging their damn finger at that 40% of white women and 50% of white men, because that's a much bigger voting block and a bigger rate, Jim. So that was the point of that. It wasn't about race as more about the Democratic voting block.
And I would probably say more to white women because they always talk about, pro-choice, and all that, but when it comes to voting, you actually voting for somebody who is not, for pro-choice. He brags about Roe v. Wade all the time, getting it overturned.
Now today he said he's the father of IVF. He said that today. He said some wild shit. Laura said he didn't have to deal with misogyny. Plus, we're going through the worst gender war in the black community right now, and Kamala may feel a little sting from that, and that is very true, Janae. That is very true because, like I said, some of the conversations me and Quincy have been having, they'll try to start off talking about us about policy. They'll start talking about they don't like what the Biden administration did with the border, and then after we had this long drawn out, at the end of it, they just basically be like, I don't think it should be a black woman. You know what I mean? Like that's what it ends up coming down to. Because if you really talk about policy for policy, you're not really going to win that argument. Honestly, if you're talking specific policy for policy, really, because like I said, I'm one of those few people, and Quincy is too. We watch both sides. I watch what Kamala does, but I watch Trump's interviews. I watch Trump's rallies. And first of all,
it ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
That shit ain't easy.
To sit through. It's tough to sit through. Democrats gonna vote Democratic no matter what. I disagree, Jim, because you talking about the amount of how tight it is in the swing states. That tell you
ask Hillary
if Democrats gonna vote Democrat no matter what.
Democrats gonna vote Democrat because the Bernie people cost her.
Yep. Yucatan said gender war discussion needs to be its own episode. It absolutely does. And we will probably do that soon because I think she is getting some backlash from that. Farr said, thank you. She said she lives in the swing state. Yeah, living in the swing state. So like you'll be surprised, Jim, how that racism will overtake that I'm a Democrat. You will be surprised how that misogyny will take over that I'm a Democrat. Because all of a sudden people who've been Democrats like, oh, I just can't do it this year. I just don't know about her. I just don't know about that one. I've heard all of it, bro. And the swing states are like tight. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, Quincy, I wanted to ask you this. Did you get a chance to watch her town hall with Charlamagne?
I heard bits and pieces of it.
Okay. I think that was, like I said, I think that was the most relatable she's been and the most comfortable.
Oh yeah. I mean, I listened enough to get that.
And I feel like she was getting hit with the hard questions that we hear a lot of black dudes quietly asking or saying in the comments, right? And I think she did a good job answering. I want to say there's probably only 2 questions that I feel like she kind of slithered out of a little bit. There was only like 2 questions, and that was the one about black men going from poverty to middle class, because the dude asked specifically, how do you go from poverty to middle class? And she kind of went back to her talking about, you know, her $25,000 tax credit, and you know, she went to those talking points, but I don't think she specifically answered that, you know. But and there was one more question I don't think she answered, but other than that, in a 1-hour conversation, I think she did a great job of not really dodging the hard and the tough questions. And I do honestly think that Charlamagne interview, I think, will move the needle with some black men. I think it will.
I mean, like I said, she discussed things. Let's put things in perspective. Within what candidate, within 100 days of their candidacy, have put out an agenda not only for black women but for black men as a whole, had a plan for reparations. I mean, you name it, within their first 100 days. You know what? I say take the first 46 presidents and tell me how many of them have done it. And it's 0. And that's why she has addressed things that the first 46 presidents have never addressed when it comes to black people. Like, in the first 40, that's over 200 years of niggas. That's why when he was like, you know, about, you know, having a woman, hell, men haven't been able to get it right for 200 years. Why not give a woman a chance? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, why not give? And I mean, and nothing more emotional than a nigga, if you tease him about his crowd size, he just go unhinged.
Bruh.
The only thing you got to do, look, your crowd size was small, Obama's was bigger, and he loses his damn mind.
This nigga couldn't even talk about immigration after that.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't talk about emotional, and then he was on Truth Social all night. Still, every time somebody says something he don't like a little BI. Jim, let me read these comments. Jim said they didn't vote for Hillary because her ass in the DNC did Bernie wrong, and since then they had a split party the same way Trump has split the Republican Party. True, Jim, but also the difference is even with a split Republican Party, they ass still be voting Republican.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell with just what I said. Republicans vote for them no matter what. Dems, you have to earn their vote, which is how it should be on both sides. But you don't have to. But you don't win a dirty game playing clean 24/7. Absolutely, that's a great comment from Farah. But there are a large amount of Republicans in our ads in Philly that are publicly saying they're voting for Kamala this year. They're receiving death threats, and I'm glad you brought up this point, Farah, because I do want to say I think that is the sleeper right there. Those Nikki Haley voters, those disenfranchised, I guess I would call them John McCain Republicans.
Yeah.
I think that might be the sleeper demographic that isn't being polled correctly. That might be the sleeper demographic that's probably not telling people in the polls that's who they're going to vote for. I think that might be the sleeper in this.
It is, and the thing about that is those people, like they are traditionalists when it comes to like the Constitution and transfer of power, and so they see Trump for what he is. He wants to be a dictator. And those Republicans, the Ronald Reagan Republicans,
they don't play that.
Who grew up hating Russia, Russia, they don't play that shit.
They don't
play.
So,
and in the end, they feel like they want their party back. They feel like if Trump is defeated, then you might see the Paul Ryans, like you said, them John McCain type of Republicans. They'll probably resurface. But right now, this is not even the party of Reagan, because Reagan hated Russia.
Yeah. Well, and just to further your point about how they feel about Russia, how they feel about dictators, all the assassination attempts or people who've gotten close were actually Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Because those are those old school patriots, right?
Yeah.
We patriots. Those patriots, they don't go for that shit. They don't go for that. I'm going to end the Constitution. I'm going to be a dictator. Once he started talking like that, that's when those attempts started happening. And those attempts, and this is again what I hate about Democrats, when they be on these CNN shows and they be talking heads on MSNBC, and the Republicans be like, he had assassination attempts on his life because of the rhetoric. They never say, but those were his supporters. They never say it. I don't know if CNN told them not to say it, but they never say it.
Or I mean, most dictators have assassination attempts. I mean, Hitler had like 30 on him. Putin had assassination. You know, I mean, that's what happens when you say I'm going to be a dictator day one. I mean, you gotta there's shit that comes with that.
Yeah,
they're gonna try to take you out.
Yeah,
because that's terrifying to folks, and it definitely should be terrifying to black people.
Yeah,
if white people scared of it,
what you think it's gonna do for us? And today she did an interview on Fox News, and they was trying to railroad her and try to get gotcha moments. I think she did a good job on pushing back. I think she did a good job of not getting punked on TV. I think she did a good job of looking strong and like she don't give a fuck. I think that was very much needed, and I'm glad she went on Fox and did that for nothing else than to show that she could be a strong leader.
Yeah, and it makes Trump look like a coward because he won't go on MSNBC and let Joy Reid interview him.
Yeah. Tiffany said, my main issue is the main people talking aren't even registered to vote and do not even know what is happening in their local elections. The Bible says, study to show thyself approved. Folks need to read up on what's at stake and make the decision they feel like will be the best for mankind, not just yourself. That's a good point, Tiff. And like I said, my thing is, if you want to vote for Trump, if you don't like Kamala Harris, I want that decision to be based on facts. I want that decision to be based on real shit. Don't say you voting for Trump because she locked up black men, because now your decision is not based on the reality. Don't say I don't want to. I'm voting for Trump because he's better on the border, and he had the border for 4 years, and Mexico still ain't paid for that gate, fence, wall. You know what I mean? There's a question for you, Quincy. What's your take on black men in law enforcement and the military that seem to back Trump? That's a good question.
What's my take? I mean, basically that's that culture. If I remember being in a squad meeting when the night Obama won, and the way how they were talking, I thought like fucking World War III was about to happen. You know, we got make sure you carry more than 3 magazines. All hell is about to break loose. Blah blah blah, and that's that culture in law enforcement, and they make you very uncomfortable if you have an opposing, more liberal viewpoint. It, I mean, there were guys that, like, you know, they would literally have a target of Obama on pasted on their locker. So a lot of the black guys, what they do just to be comfortable at work and not have any issues, they just conform and just, you know, join in to the culture. But the overall culture in law enforcement is very Trumpy and conservative. That's that culture. So when I would like speak on, you know, like, obviously I was pro Obama and very liberal. It would be looked, you know, frowned upon, or, you know, people would make little comments here and there. And I just think that a lot of guys, black guys in that culture, just want to make it to their 20, 25 year career. So a lot of them just conform to the culture, which is very conservative, very conservative, and very Trumpy. Also, Trump sells this he's pro police shit too. So
Until they killing them on January
yeah,
6th
yeah.
in his name.
But then at the same token, he talking about defund the FBI because that's who investigating his ass. So I mean, but Trump present, you know, full immunity for police officers, and, you know, stop and frisk, and, you know, hit them a few times when you put them in the car. This is all shit Trump said.
Yeah,
So a lot of police officers think Trump is pro police when all he wants is that. I mean, the police union is one of the biggest unions in the country, so getting their support definitely benefits him. But, you know, it's really hard to be I would say a vocal liberal in that culture. They make it very tough and difficult for you.
thanks for that answer. Jim said if Trump loses, there will be civil unrest in some area. Absolutely. He's even like, he's kind of setting up for there to be civil unrest because they keep asking him, is there going to be peaceful transfer of power if you lose? Will you peaceful? And he like not answering. It's either a non-answer or he'll be like, ask them that. Listen,
Well,
ask their side. You know what I mean? So he's
well,
setting
the
it up
thing
for that.
is, there's a good chance his ass go to jail if he don't win.
Yeah.
So I think we can't. I think they're gonna try something. I don't know what they're gonna try, because, like I said, it's just not Trump winning the presidency. It's Trump fighting for his freedom.
Ooh, shit. Shannon with the hard-hitting question tonight. Okay, Walter Cronkite. Quincy, does that conformity with black cops stop with politics, or does it trickle onto the streets?
Oh, it definitely trickled onto the streets.
We know a couple of those guys.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely trickled onto the street, because it's like, let me prove myself that I'm one of them. So there'd be there'd be an extra. Well, you know, I use my own personal example. Like, for example, just not onto the streets, but when there's a black officer that they want to get rid of for rookie, they will use a black training officer to get rid of. When they want to come after a black officer who's not a rookie but a veteran like myself, who they want to kind of target, there are black lieutenants and sergeants and commanders that they will use to come after you. And so that same mentality go onto the street. You know, uh, you expect it. You know, when it's, you have black officers that feel to prove themselves. You know, um, that they have to be a little tougher on black people. So yes, that mentality, it definitely goes. And also, if some people expect you to be that way, and you know, but that's how you promote. That's how, you know, you become a lieutenant and commanders and all that shit. You know, that's how. I mean, literally, there was a young lady her training officer, she was a rookie, and her training officer was like, "Are you one of those Black Lives Matter people? Because if you are, I can't train you." Do you think he ever asked the white trainee, "Are you part of the Klan or any white supremacist group? If you are, I can't train you." So yeah, that should definitely trickle down, onto the street. Better believe it.
Jim says, I know a black cop who was a Trumper, a super Trumper, and say the worst lies when telling his stories about being a cop. He called Van Ness East LA because he is selling and telling these stories to white folks. Oh, we know about those too.
Yeah.
There's an LAPD officer we know
Yeah.
who's a super bootlicker and does that same thing and finds a way to make any like bad shooting or bad cop killing the black person's fault.
He even said, "Oh, there's no racism," when he was a part of a lawsuit about racism with a black officer because his sergeant had called him a nigger in a text message. And it was like, "Oh no, there's no race." I'm like, dude, you was literally part of a lawsuit. There's no racism.
Yucatan said, end of the day, we need to abolish political parties and have 5+ candidates where the most money doesn't give you more campaign exposure. People right now feel like there's only two choices when there isn't, but Dems and Republican parties are so powerful, even when the voters laugh at people voting outside of Democrat or Republican, and people should research how presidential debates are private party debates where Dems and Republicans keep other parties away purposely. I agree with that 100%. I think the two-party system is broken.
But I also think that to kind of start with that, we need to get rid of the electoral college.
That's first.
Because you could, as long as the electoral college is there, it's gonna be the two-party system. When it's a popular vote, and somebody could come in with that's more popular and steal those votes, and they don't have to worry about winning a Democrat state or winning a Republican state.
I was trying to look up the last time a Republican actually won a popular vote.
Got Bush, John Kerry.
Yeah,
Bush.
That's the 90s.
John, and before that, you gotta go all the way. I think I think it was Reagan. I don't think his daddy won a popular vote.
No, I don't think his daddy won a popular vote. Reagan did. Also get rid of lobbying practices in government. That's a big one, Jim.
That's where it's at.
That's where it's at. Because the lobbyists are the ones who basically control a lot of the government. They actually control a lot of where the money goes to, doing ads, the super PACs and all that. And that's how you get these corporations that can basically run everything. I've learned that a lot of these corporations, they give tons of money to both Democrats and Republicans. So they could be in good with whoever win. They I'm gonna give 10 million over here to Trump. I'm gonna give 10 million to Kamala. I don't know if y'all know, but the suites, I don't know if it was the same price at the Republican convention, but I know the suites at the Democratic convention was like $2 million a suite. Who you think was getting them suites?
Yeah.
Wasn't regular folks, them corporations.
Yeah, the corporations, lobbyists.
Them lobbyists getting them $2 million suites at the Democratic convention. I'm sure they probably had something equal or more at the Republican convention when it came to buying the suites and paying for the suites. So I just want everybody, like I said, to continue to educate yourselves and learn about the process, because I do want Black voters in particular. I want us to be more engaged. I want us to be more knowledgeable about politics.
Yeah, and
local politics too.
Yeah, and just as important, vote for the Senate, the House, because ain't no point in getting Kamala in if you don't give her a Republican Senate. They just gonna block everything.
Yep.
They just gonna block everything, and then in 4 years they're gonna be like, "Oh well, she didn't do anything." Although they blocked every damn thing she's gonna try to propose. So make sure you vote for your House representative, you vote for your senator. All that matters, because remember, the president picked these judges. So for people who wants reparations, and I also think she might get a shot at 2 Supreme Court seats. because Clarence Thomas gonna try to hold on for dear life.
Yeah, he ain't gonna retire.
Yeah, he's not gonna retire. And the other one is up there too. But all these things play into place with her implementing her agenda, because people will be like, oh well, the president didn't do nothing. Well, they had a Republican House and Senate,
And I'm
which
glad you
they
brought
be
that up too. I'm glad you
wh-
brought that up because
which they be very vocal. We're blocking everything. I don't know why people don't be catching when they say that
thank
shit.
you. I was gonna say like because people be like, well, they said they was gonna. I'm not voting for Democrats because they said they was gonna do loan forgiveness. I'm like, so you gonna vote for the people that's blocking it? I'm not voting for Democrats because they said they was gonna give black farmers $6 billion and didn't give it to them. So you gonna vote for the people that sued to stop the black farmers from getting $6 billion? Like all the stuff that you think the Democrats didn't do, you're gonna now vote for the person that blocked you from getting that.
Yeah. And they said, they was like, we don't care what they put up, we gonna block it.
Dr. Grant, what's up, man? How you been? Donald said we have to get people who don't vote to vote, and I think that's why, Donald, you see Kamala going into these places like All the Smoke, Caller Daddy, Shade Room, because I think that's where you will find the low propensity voters, even the Colbert Show and stuff like that. I think that's why she's going to those places, to try to capture some of those people who don't vote. I think that's why when people are like, why is she going on there? I'm like, because she's trying to meet people where they at. Why is she having Meg Thee Stallion at her rally? Because she's trying to get some young people who tend to probably not vote from the 18 to 25 demographic. She's probably trying to get them to pay attention and get them to vote. Jim said they're openly blocking everything. Exactly, Jim.
Yes.
And that's why I say I feel like people need to know more about politics, because then they will understand all the stuff they think the Democrats just ain't doing. They will understand that a lot of that stuff is being blocked by the people that they think is going to save them. Well, if the Democrats ain't doing, I'm just going to go to the Republicans. I'm like, but you're going to the people that has been blocking everything for you. Yucatan, lifetime seats need to be abolished. Hell yeah. There's a retirement age for regular citizens, but people of power get a different set of rules. Now, Yucatan, I will explain to you this. And he said they worse than Matumbo with blocking everything. So I will explain to you this. The lifetime cease came because I don't know if y'all remember at the time when the Constitution out, niggas was dying at 40. You could drink some bad water and you dead. You know what I mean? So when lifetime cease was actually made, niggas dying of dysentery.
Yeah, like you make it a 45 back then. That's equivalent to making it to like 80.
Yeah. So the lifetime cease was made when niggas only making it to 40, 45. Now that the life expectancy has gotten much longer, I agree 100%. That shit needs to change, because nobody should be in power for 40, 50 years. You talking about being in power for 2 or 3 generations that you don't even relate to. Stephanie said that's because they are not reading nor doing research. They're all going off of what they see on TV. Not even TV, social media. Because on social media, you can put anything up, true or false. A lot of them are going off of social media.
You can put it up, have a nice little meme, little background to it, that eat that shit up.
Put that little piano music behind it, they're gonna believe it. All you gotta do is put that piano music behind it and
the FBI came out and said that years ago that Russia was targeting black people with misinformation.
Yep.
That actually came from the FBI.
Yes, they were targeting us specifically. And Trump said at the beginning of this campaign, he said, I love low educated voters.
I mean, they don't sugarcoat the shit.
He don't give a fuck. He said that shit out loud. I love low educated voters. So those low propensity voters, she got to go get some of those. But like I said, I think the sleeping demographic for her is going to be those Nikki Haley voters and those Republicans who are disenfranchised with what Trump is doing and who want to get back to the real Republicans and that not MAGA, because I think MAGA Republicans are different than regular Republicans.
Yeah, regular Republicans. They are not the same.
Jim said they be going off of things that can easily be researched. And Jim, the funny thing is they stop. They see a meme and they're going to reshare that shit without checking to see if it's real or not. I've seen it so much. He said, we'll update everything in this country but old ass laws and mindsets. Well, that's because white people in power ain't gonna want to give up that power no matter what. You're gonna have to snatch that shit from their cold dead hands. That's straight up. But the reality of it is, because if you change those laws, it will change the way that if you change it to where there's not permanent seats on the Supreme Court, one, they're gonna have to govern differently because they know their ass might be out of there. And then two, if you're gonna get different kind of governing as the generations go by, right? Clarence Thomas should not be making decisions for 20-year-old people right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just shouldn't. I mean, even the Republicans, I mean, even the Democrat judges, those old Democrat judges, like, when we talked about this before she passed, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if you don't get your ass out of there.
She died on Trump watch.
Died on Trump watch, and Barack Obama was asking her, can you retire so I could put somebody in your seat? Oh, no, I'm just going to hold on till Hillary win. And look what happened. She said they will post the memes and they claim to be enlightened and not following the masses. That shit burns me up when Trump supporters say, I'm just being an independent thinker, but you start saying the exact shit that all other Trump supporters are saying. She was trying to hold on. Man, Jim, she should have got her ass up out of there, man.
Yeah,
I would never forgive her for that.
She needs to let Obama replace her, especially when you know you got health problems. If she was healthy, I get it, but I mean, her and Cassie was going back and forth. I mean, you're taking a risk there.
Yeah, she fought off like 3 different cancers before she actually died.
Especially when you're like in your 80s.
Yeah, Clarence should be making decisions for more reasons than just his age.
Man, Clarence, he might be the worst nigga in American history.
Hey, that's a bad rap to get.
I can't. I gotta go with Clarence Thomas is the worst nigga in American history.
You can say, yeah, they holding on for dear life. To me, Trump is a Hail Mary for Republicans to keep and bring back old ways, and minorities are overlooking that for anecdotal experiences and $1,400 that he didn't even want to give y'all asses.
Man,
I'm gonna tell it one more time because I've been saying this on every show, but I'm gonna say it again for the people. Trump gave me a stimmy. The Democrats wanted to give y'all $2,500.
Yeah,
the Republicans wanted to give y'all $600. They ended up giving you 14, and he put his name on it, and y'all fell for it. Because it was a Democratic Congress that did it, not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So again, the people you trying to vote for ain't the people who should get the credit for it. You like, oh, I'm voting for Trump because he gave me a stimmy check. No, it was a Democratic Congress. So.
And then when Biden wanted to keep the child tax credit for the next 10 years because they said, according to studies, took like 50% of kids out of poverty. They blocked it. And then they paid 2 Democrats. Well, if you want to call them Democrats, I don't think they're real Democrats.
Was it Manchin and Sinema?
Yeah. To help block the shit. So, you know, the amount of people that vote against their own interests is mind-boggling. You know? Even white people.
Yeah.
Even white people. Like, I'm like I heard like they talk about, well, the guys that shot at Donald Trump, and this was Trumpers. The guys that shot at Donald Trump, they were mentally ill. And mentally ill people shouldn't have guns. Well, guess who overturned Obama's policy of not letting mentally ill people have guns?
The nigga getting shot at.
The nigga that's getting shot at. So that's how you know it's identity politics.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody want to admit this shit just boiled down to race.
At the end of the day,
it's just boiled down to race. How many people in this country is really racist and how many people is not? That's what the fucking really boils down to. It's not a coincidence that since passing the civil rights legislation, Democrats haven't won the white vote.
Ever.
I wonder why.
Since what, 68?
Yeah, since passing civil rights, which started in 64, voting rights 65, appointed the first black Supreme Court justice and Thurgood Marshall. The hate crime statute in 1968. Yes, that was for black people because it was a week after Dr. King was killed. So people like,
Yeah.
we need a hate crime bill. There's already hate crime laws that was made for black people, and the Family Fair Housing Act, all that shit that passed that was for black people. Democrats haven't won the white vote since.
Jim said, "Good night, fellas. Appreciate this. I'll be back next episode. Dame, hit me up whenever the talk shop. For real. And Jim, we're gonna get you on with us one day too, bro. Let me know when if you're ever available. I would love to get you on with us too. Another smart brother who has some good insight.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really boiled down to racism.
I mean, at the end of the day, and this specific election is boiling down to racism
and sexism.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all can talk to y'all people, educate them. Send them some Schoolhouse Rock videos. Let them know how this shit really working, how it really goes.
So Schoolhouse Rock.
That's where you got to start, nigga. Like you got.
I'm just a bill.
I'm just a bill, so they can see how this.
Sitting on Capitol Hill.
You got the whites that hate blacks and the blacks that hate being black, making the most noise. Bingo, Ronnies, and they aren't the majority. So don't let nobody y'all believe that that's the majority.
They just loud and wrong.
Because most college-educated black men are definitely going to vote for Kamala. Most working class black men are gonna vote for Kamala.
Old black men, because
most old black men
they racist the other way. They
hate
white people.
They gonna vote for Kamala. And most gay black men are gonna vote for Kamala. That's gonna be the voting block, and that's what people need to remember. That is not the majority. That's why they making this big hoopla about the 15%. I get it that you're saying she needs every vote, but 15% going to Trump ain't what's gonna make or break this race. At 15% of black people voting for Trump, that means a lot of white people didn't vote for Kamala. You know what I mean? A lot of Latinos didn't vote for Kamala. So there's a bunch of other people y'all gonna blame.
Which is another voting block. They tend to vote against their own interests. Latinos.
Yep. People don't want to learn today. They want to be right. Social media and ad targeting have made mindsets way more dangerous. That algorithm is a mofo, because I seen once people start posting Trump stuff, their algorithm turns to damn near all Trump shit. And that's all you kind of get fed. And the other way around, if you post a whole bunch of Kamala shit, you're going to get a whole bunch of Kamala shit unless you on Twitter, where nigga Elon Musk basically only putting up Republican ads. Like that's it.
I only get Republican shit, and I'm getting transgender shit, which I don't know where the fuck that's coming from.
That's both. That's Elon. That's Elon, because the big thing that they trying to run against is that they're trying to get transgender rights, more rights than us. That's the right thing. So you do those ads.
So you gonna discuss the fuck out of me by putting they shit? I don't want to see no fucking transgender porn.
People don't want to learn today that they want to be. But they want to write social media. He said that. So yeah, man, this was a great show. I want to thank everybody who joined us, man. The comments have been great. I hope y'all join us next week. Great conversation about music in the beginning, and great conversation about politics in the second half. And that's what Wild Wild Thoughts is really about. Talking about all the stuff that Black folks care about. If there's anything like my girl Shannon and Stephanie. They always hit me on the inbox. If there's anything y'all want to talk about specifically, hit me in the inbox, hit Quincy, hit whoever that's on this podcast, hit us in the inbox, and we'll try to make sure we'll add it. Until next time, go vote and go teach people what's really going on, man. All right. Anything you want to say, Quincy, before we get out of here?
Nope. Peace out.
All right. We
Stop the world, let me off. I don't like this destination. I like a transfer to the express line. I gotta get off. Electric slide into the devil doors of life. Things are changing and it ain't the way I like. On the ring display. Wish I could get a replay. Don't mean to hold ya, but I wanna do over. Gas up the ship, shoot me a text and let me know when it is time. I wanna get off, I wanna get off. 1 star, would not recommend that we go far from here. I wanna get off, I wanna get off.